All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Chang podcast. This is episode 68 featuring Jessica, aka jessicuurrz. Welcome to the stream, Jess. How's it going today?
It's good. It's good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I had a very
Awesome.
productive day, but now I'm excited to close out the night with another podcast with you.
Yay! Woohoo!
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to those in chat right now. Please note that this will be on YouTube. We could see that we already hit 68 episodes. On the bottom right, there's our Instagram handles. And for each and every one of these podcasts, I have two commands. The first one is !podcast. In short, I like to host these podcasts to get to know my Twitch friends on a more personal level. And we get to learn about their life experiences, you know? So it's pretty cool and neat because everyone gets to experience this together. And secondly, we have !guest, which is a direct link to Jess's Twitch channel. She's a fellow streamer. She's amazing. Definitely resonates with positive vibes. So yeah, thank you for being here again. All right, so we're gonna get started. Give us like a brief introduction about yourself, Jess, and include some of your hobbies and interests.
So my name's Jessica Nguyen, if you guys don't know. I also go by jessicuurrz, or some people call me Shumami as well, because that's my in-game name. I'm 21, turning 22 this year, so I am a 2000s baby. What else? I'm currently in college. I'm currently on a gap year, but I don't go back until the fall. And I actually just switched my major from cellular and molecular biology into graphic design. So if you need a sign to change your major, this is it. Do it. It's never too late. Follow your dreams, follow your passions. What else? I play Valorant, unfortunately.
Fortunate.
It's very unfortunate. I like it a lot, even though I talk shit about it all the time. I actually just joined my school's women's Valorant team. We're kind of like an amateur team right now, and so that's exciting. So we're gonna be trying
Ooh.
to go into like tournaments and stuff. So that's cool. That's basically all I do, I'm just your little average little gamer girl over here.
All right, for sure. So how would you describe your personality?
mm, I would say I'm very nonchalant, I'm very chill. I don't really care about a lot of stuff. I'm also very bubbly. I try to like make people smile like as much as I can, because that's actually like why I stream, because I love making like people smile. It's like the best thing. Yeah, I would say like nonchalant, very bubbly.
Would you consider yourself more of like an introvert or an extrovert?
I'm actually the one in between.
Ambivert.
Yes, I'm that one, because when you first meet me, I'm pretty introverted just because I get very shy and I never know like I sometimes know how to like talk to people and sometimes I don't. And once we click and we kind of find something that we connect on, or just something that we can continue the conversation with, my personality opens up a lot more, and then you're just kind of like, wow, like this girl can't shut up. So introvert at first, extrovert like more towards the end.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for that brief introduction. So, how I usually start these podcasts is we go right from the very beginnings. So, think about the days, your earliest childhood memories, maybe even to the day you were born, right? Give us an overview of what you went through up until, let's say, the end of high school. And then I'll ask you specific questions.
Okay. So when I was a kid, let's see, what did I do? It's kind of a menace. I was like biting my cousins.
Oh.
I was that kid. I was
Mhm.
that kid that was biting people. But I love them. I grew up mainly with my mom's side, and the one thing I remember the most is that over the weekends, all of our parents, because I lived with my cousins, and it was two of them. It's like two older cousins, and since I was an only child, or I am an only child, they were basically like my brothers and sister, or my brother and sister. And on Saturdays, like our parents would have work, so they wouldn't be able to take care of us. So my parents would drop us off to like my grandma's, and we would always bring like our laptops and stuff. And these were the days where we were like grinding Maple Story, and then we hopped into like Minecraft eventually. And then uh my other cousin, like my boy cousin, he introduced me to like Battlefield on like the laptop. So that was kind of like my first like, I guess, quote unquote mouse and keyboard FPS, but it wasn't like I wasn't really serious about it. I was just kind of playing like Medic. and kind of just helping them get around.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I remember the most. That's kind of like where my gaming started, just because like my cousins were always playing games. And then that was kind of what we talked about. And when we went to my grandparents' house, we always kind of like avoided learning because my grandpa was really into like teaching us Vietnamese and like teaching us like
Yeah.
math. Like by the time I was in second grade, I already knew how to like multiply. I already knew how to like divide a lot of stuff. And I was just kind of like, oh my God, like this is a lot. So my cousins and I would always try to like avoid by playing video games. And then I kind of branched off into my own video games into high school. I stuck with like Minecraft and then I started to get more into Sims just because
Mm-hmm.
like I liked like this whole simulation thing. I liked having like control over that kind of stuff. I kind of steered away from FPSs, but I did play like COD on the console because my cousins were still playing it, and then my dad also had a PlayStation and he played like Black Ops, so I would play with him sometimes, and then he would play like GTA as well, so I would play with him, or I would just play when he's not there. um but yeah, in high school, I that was when I focused more on Minecraft and Sims. I never really did anything with it. I wanted to, but I was too shy to do it. I just never did it. I focused more on to like extracurriculars. So in high
Mm-hmm.
school, if I could describe high school in one word or one acronym, that's gonna be so cringy, but it's definitely like ROTC. Like that was like my high school. Like that's what I focused on in high school.
Whoa,
And yeah.
ROTC, okay.
Yeah. Can I do it anymore? No.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But at towards the end of high school, that was basically I did one sport. I stuck to one sport in high school, and that was wrestling. And then I tried out other sports, but then like ROTC like got in the way. In middle school, I did sports. I did a cross country track, and then I tried to do volleyball, but our girls volleyball team was like very cutthroat because it was like a new sport that was introduced to our middle school. So I never made the team, but I stuck with cross country and track. And then in high school, I picked up wrestling and then ROTC. So yeah.
Wow. All right, thank you for that just overview of what you went through. So, talk about where you grew up. What was like the background and diversity like?
So I grew up in Milpitas, it's like
Mm-hmm.
45 minutes north of like SF. I mean, south of SF. If you don't know where it is, it's basically just San Jose, okay? Like I say San Jose, and people who know I'm from Milpitas are just like, you mean Milpitas? And I'm like, okay, at least you know where it is, because a lot of people don't know where it is. So I just say San Jose.
Yeah.
Um, but it was a lot. I grew up around a lot of Asians.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think like when I was little, people used to call Milpitas like Little Manila. I don't know if the diversity is still the same there. I don't know if it changed. But when I remember like growing up, people used to always call it like Little Manila because a lot of like Filipinos would be there. And I also grew up just like around a lot of Asians. Like, yeah.
That is true. I'm also
Mhm.
like on the border of Milpitas and San Jose, so I feel you on that. Did you go to
Yeah,
MHS or what?
I did. I went to MHS. That
Mm,
was me.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So talk about your relationship, let's say with your parents and your cousins, since you don't have siblings, back
Mhm.
then versus now.
Okay, so I was really close with my cousins, and I would say our relationship is still the same, emotionally. Maybe like we don't see each other as much because, so I
Mm-hmm.
have three cousins that I grew up with that I was like very, very close with. Um, I'm sure they don't care that their names are, are being here, but it's Tiffany, Harvey, and then Nyut. It's like a very Vietnamese name. So they're all older than me. Tiffany is like 4 years older than me, and she actually moved out first and she went to UC Santa Barbara. And she graduated when I graduated high school. So she
Mm-hmm.
moved back, but then I moved out to go to SF State. And Harvey and Yet are a year older than me, so they moved or Harvey moved out my senior year to go to the Naval Academy, and then which is in Maryland. And then yeah, he didn't live with us, but he was practically like always at our house because him and Harvey were like in the same friend group. And yeah, actually stayed in the area. So I got to see him a lot more often than like Tiffany and Harvey. But when I moved out to SF, I didn't really get to see them as much anymore because I was really lazy to drive down. And Harvey, I think, is still in Maryland or he's out of the States. And then Nyat is still in the area and Tiffany is also in the area. But we don't really get to see each other as much. But when we do see each other, it's kind of like we just kind of picked off where we left off. It's like a very good connection between them. We're all very close. We're all very like protective, but very chill with each other.
Mhm.
As for my parents, when I was little, I was close to them, but I wasn't as close as I wanted to be
Mm.
just because my mom worked a lot and then my dad also worked a lot. My dad only had like 1 day off. And then my mom, she came home at like 7 or 8. And then at that time, I was always like really tired or I was always like in bed, I was the early sleeper. And then I actually when I moved out, our relationship became a lot closer. We started saying I love you. And I feel like
Ah,
that is like, oh my God, that is the ultimate accomplishment of a kid with their parents. And when I was in high school, I feel like it's because I always saw them that I never really took the chance to really like get close to them. But then when I graduated high school, they actually moved to Texas because they were able to get a house out there.
hmm.
So I didn't get to see them as much anymore. I think it's been like from the last time I saw them, it's been like 2 or 3 years that I've seen them. So it's been a very long time, but we still call each other like almost every other day. And I feel like even though we don't see each other as much, our connection has definitely grown like a lot more. I feel like my parents know a lot more about me and a lot more accepting of like who I am. They know more about like my personality and I know more about theirs. So it's definitely a closer relationship, like a lot
Yeah,
closer.
that's really good to hear.
Mhm.
So, what are your thoughts about being an only child? Have you ever like questioned it? I know you had cousins, so it made it feel like you had siblings, but yeah,
Mhm.
what are your general thoughts on that?
With being an only child, it's definitely it's like a hit or miss. I feel like you either become very spoiled or you become very like lonely.
Hmm.
I grew up more on like I don't want to say spoiled because I was spoiled as like a little girl, but then when I got into like my sophomore year of high school, my parents started realizing like wow, you spend like way too much and your freedom is like crazy. So they started getting on my ass about like a lot more stuff. And then I think like because my cousins were in the house, they started realizing that like okay, we need to like start disciplining you a lot more. And so they started like making me not like they started not buying me everything that I wanted. But even then, like I didn't really want that much stuff as a kid because I saw like how my cousins grew up. So I never really said like, oh, I wanted this, I wanted that. I wanted like toys, but I mean that was it. Um, but being an only child, if any of you guys are only children out there, it's definitely a journey to learn about yourself because you kind of have to cope with things yourself. Your
Hmm.
parents are there, but like you don't really always really want to tell your parents everything. And so growing up as an only child, it's pretty lonely. I was lucky to have my cousins around, but I definitely got to experience what it really felt like to be an only child when they all moved out or when I was a senior in high school because no one was around. It was just like my aunt and then my parents. And I really felt like I didn't have anyone to talk to just because like they weren't there. And I had to find ways to cope with things.
Yeah.
And instead of like talking to them, I had to like go for a walk or I had to like reach out to friends or, like I had to reach out to like my current boyfriend. And it was just like, it was really hard. It was really hard being an only child. So if you have siblings right now, I would really hope that you kind of take advantage of like having siblings if you have like a good relationship with them, just because like it's really hard to cope on things on your own.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, how did your family handle like discipline? Were they traditional Asian parents?
Um, I think when we were little, yes, they were very traditional. They were the type of parents to, like yell, type of parents to chase you around like a sandal or a broomstick. um,
Okay.
but as we grew older, they actually started to lean more towards like the lenient parents,
Yeah.
but disciplining their kids when they did something wrong in terms of like like if they gave you a curfew to go out, but if you came back at the wrong curfew, they would be pissed. They would be like, oh my God, like we trusted you to go out and you kind of like betrayed that trust.
Yeah.
At least that's how my parents kind of raised me. I'm not sure how my cousins did. I think my cousins definitely got the more strict side, just because they only had like their mom. But then for me, since I had both of my parents kind of like took turns disciplining me, and they were very chill about everything. And if I wanted to go out, they would let me go out, but they would give me like a curfew. And they expressed to me, they emphasized that if I did not come home at a certain time, I would not be able to go out the next time or the time after that or ever. So I always made
Yeah.
sure I got my ass home, because I was like, I always like wanted to go out with my friends, and I wanted to make sure that like, okay, I'm gonna be able to go out next time. So
Hmm.
I always came home on time.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So more so about school, your
Mhm.
school experience. How did you perform academically throughout your entire education?
um I was okay. I was the C's get degrees type of person. I when I got into high school, I definitely tried my best to get like straight A's. But I don't know what happened. I don't know. I just don't test well, I guess. Cause I get the information and then I take a test and it's like I get a C. And like it was really frustrating. And my parents were definitely on my ass about it. But then I think like once they started seeing that it kind of took like a mental toll on me, like trying to be like the perfect like straight A student, they were kind of just like, you know what, as long as you get the information and you can apply it to the real world, that is like what matters the most. And as long as you're still passing and not like completely failing, like it's okay. Like at least you're trying your best.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it kind of I wasn't like always getting C's. I was mainly like a B student, like a B plus, middle B student. It wasn't until like my senior year that I was getting like straight C's, just because it was my senior year. I was getting terrible senioritis. Terrible. I was taking like AP stats. I didn't even take the AP test for that because I knew like I would not pass. My junior year was also really tough because I had AP bio, and that shit was not it. That shit was so hard. That shit was the terrible time of my life. But yeah, it was like my academics mattered to me a lot. And then going into college, I tried again because I had that mental reset of like, okay, I'm gonna get straight A's. I'm gonna prove myself that I could do
Hmm.
better than what I did in high school. Same thing. I just don't test well, I guess. I C's on like every test. I don't, but I also think it's also due to the fact that I was in the wrong major. Like I said earlier, I did switch from bio to graphic design. That passion for bio just wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And I thought it was there because when I took AP bio, I was like, I was loving it, even though I wasn't doing the best academically. I loved the content. I loved like everything about it. So that's why I chose bio as my major. And then when I got into college, I saw how competitive it was. I saw like all the classes I needed to take. And even though I liked bio, it was just like something just wasn't clicking for me. I think it was just something that I was interested in and not passionate about. But
Hmm.
then when I switched over to graphic design, my whole mentality of like school changed. It wasn't even like, oh, I have school in the fall. It's more of like I'm gonna learn how to design in the fall. So like my mindset totally changed about school.
All right. So that's academics.
Mhm.
Since you mentioned that you played like some sports like cross country, track, and it was really competitive with volleyball,
Mhm.
briefly talk about those and also wrestling, like what your experience was like and how you kind of fell out of it.
Okay. So cross country and track, loved it. I love sports that can like include cardio, just because like I do like cardio. I say I hate cardio now, but if that's just because it's now. I'm really out of shape now. I'm a potato now. I was very athletic and like back when. But I loved cross country just because like I like running distance. Endurance is definitely my stronger suit instead of speed. So running cross country was super fun, even though like I was always one that got like first or second. I was like in the middle kind of all the time. I loved seeing like the scenic routes that they would always provide for us in terms of cross country. Like
Mm-hmm.
we got to run up the hills. We got to run at this one place that looked like a desert, but as you cross like the one big hill, it's like beautiful. So it's really pretty for cross country, and also it's just a good like um stress reliever, just because I kind of go on autopilot when I do cardio. So it was really nice to just kind of like disappear for like however long I was running for.
Yeah, feel
Track
that.
was
Mm-hmm.
fun. I did jumps. I did long jump,
Mm.
but I for some reason I cannot jump further than 6 feet. I don't know what was wrong with me. I was like, I'm literally 5'3". Why can I not jump like almost my height? So I I went out of jumps because I realized that maybe my legs just aren't meant for jumps. And then I went over to throws. I did discus and a shot put. Super fun. If you haven't tried it out yet, I recommend it. It's definitely one of those like stress relievers as well. And you get to leave early. You don't have to do all those like warm-ups that other sprinters do because you're just gonna be like in the weight room most of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love those sports. Volleyball was very competitive for me in middle school because I was average height, but there were a lot of other taller girls in middle school, so they automatically like kind of got the spot. And I think when a volleyball was introduced in my year, it was the first time that it was introduced into our school, so all the girls tried out for it. And it was just like very competitive. So and then other girls that were doing like club volleyball that were in like the sports center in Milpitas, they kind of like got into that very easily because they were already experienced. So that was very competitive. But wrestling, I got into wrestling because Harvey, my cousin, actually did wrestling, and I was kind of like, man, I need a sport. I need to do a sport. And then he suggested wrestling for me, and I was like, yeah, why not? Everybody makes the team, and like let's just do it. Fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I did it, and honestly, out of all the sports that I've done, it is my favorite sport. And if I had the chance to go back and do it again, I would. If I could do it right now, I would. But if I do it right now, I'm gonna get thrown because I'm tiny, compared to like all the other girls that do wrestling right now.
Hmm.
Um, I did it my junior year in high school, and I loved it a lot just because there was just like something different about wrestling. Everyone was like a family, even though it's a solo sport. At the tournaments, it felt like a family because everyone was always like providing like food for each other. Um, there's nothing better than like being on the mat. Winning is one thing. Winning is great, but it's also great being on the mat and when you're wrestling, you kind of just hear like your coach yelling at you. Okay, well that's not maybe not your coach. When your coach yells at you, it's a little scary. But when you hear like your teammates on the side yelling for you, when you hear like people in the bleachers yelling for you, it's like really great. And then when you do win, it is like it's amazing. When you get your hand put up, it's amazing. And you get to take that little like tag off your ankles. It's great. But my senior year, I didn't do it because I think I was doing something for ROTC and I wanted to focus more on that. So I didn't do wrestling my senior year. I think it's also because again I was lazy. So I regret not doing my senior year. I definitely wish that I did because I would have had that like senior night, but it's okay.
So more so about wrestling, what would you say your greatest accomplishment was? Like your favorite memory?
My favorite memory was it was actually my first win. A lot of people's wins are off of pins, like off of pins, yeah. But my first win was off of points,
Hmm.
and I was wrestling this girl the whole entire like all the rounds, and then it was on the last round, and I was down 1 point, and all I needed to do I was on the what was I? I think I was on top, and then she was on the bottom. But I was down one, and all I needed to do was get a takedown, which is you get two. And when I attacked, she sprawled, so she was under me, and she sprawled in a way where she got under me somehow, and I was like, okay. And her arms or her hands were like right behind like my knees, and her fingers were like locked on my knees, and I just couldn't get behind her, and all I needed to do was get behind her. And if I got behind her, then I would have won by points. But it was down to like the last 10 seconds. And I just hear my coach yelling at me, like, Jess, you need to get behind her somehow. You need to get behind her. You need to get on top of her. Like, you need to complete like your attack, or you need to complete like, you
Hmm.
just complete something. And I was like, okay, like, I'm trying my best. And then I didn't know what else to do because I was literally stuck. I was stuck and I was freaking out because it was also my first year wrestling. So I was like, I don't know what to do. And then I hear in like the corner of on my ears, and I hear my cousin yelling at me. He's like, just peel her fingers. Just peel her fingers behind your knees and just get behind her." So then I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Okay, I only got like 8 seconds left." So I took my hands and I like literally just laid on top of her. And then I just peeled her hands like behind my knees, and I just went behind her, and then I just hear like people in the stands like they like I see like all my friends like stand up, and then my coach is literally like this. He's like, she just did that shit. I don't know what she did, but she did that. And then my cousin's like, yeah, it's like, Jess, like you did it. And then the ref, like, he looked at me and he was like, "You won, like, good job." And then I look at the points and I'm just like, "Oh my god, like, I did it." And then he, like, raised my hand, and then my coach I came back to my coach and he was like, "You finally won. Like, oh my, how do you feel?" And I was like, "I feel great. Thank you. I'm tired. I'm gonna knock out now." But yeah, it was really fun.
The way you explained it sounds like an
It
ending
was
to a movie or something. Holy,
it was
it's so
it was a
surreal.
whole trip. Oh my god, my mind was, like, everywhere. Like, I was sweaty. Oh
Yeah,
god.
got everyone's expressions too.
Yeah, no, I remember it so vividly because
Yeah.
it was so funny.
So generally speaking, how difficult do you think wrestling is? Like,
Out
I
of
guess before you got into it and then actually wrestling, you know?
Yeah, so in the beginning, it's definitely pretty hard just because you have a lot of technique that you have to learn. But I think as long as you keep practicing, like for our team, we practiced 3 hours, 5 days a week, like after school. So it was a lot of practicing, and a majority of those days we were only just like we were straight up just like wrestling each other. We learned techniques like in the beginning of practice, and then we practice it at the end, and then we do like warm ups and stuff. But for the most part, it's not as hard as you think it is, just because you like in most sports, you kind of just go on autopilot. And you once you're in the situation, you kind of just like you're like zoned in. And then a lot of the technique that you learn, you really only remember like the basic stuff until you see an opportunity to do like something really cool. And even then, like even if you see that opportunity, most of the time like you won't even notice it, and you'll just keep doing like the really basic technique.
Mhm.
So honestly, if you want to try out wrestling, it's really only like out of 10, I would say the difficulty is maybe at like a 6, like a 7 if you want to learn like basic technique. When it gets really hard is when you want to learn like different pins. And that becomes a little bit more difficult because you're gonna once you learn different pins, you have to position yourself in like certain ways. And to get in those certain positions, you have to do like you have to attack a certain way. And I feel like once you start learning those things, you're also going to be going against other people that have been doing it for a while. So that's when it gets really hard.
Mhm.
Like a lot of people who do wrestling, they've done like jujitsu or they've done like taekwondo, so they know like a lot of like basic technique already. So once you catch up with that technique, it gets pretty easy to kind of like put two and two together and kind of just all flows.
Yeah, and based
Mhm.
on your first year overall experience, how skilled were you compared to like other people in other schools?
So I was a part of JV. So there's like a JV and varsity team.
Yeah.
And being in JV, I think I wasn't that experienced. Because I didn't do like any previous like jujitsu or like taekwondo or anything like that. I kind of just went straight into self-defense like right away.
Yeah.
With wrestling. So it was I was pretty unexperienced, but by the end of wrestling, I was able to wrestle against girls that have been experienced. I didn't do well, but I was still able to go up against them and at least like do some things. At least I was like still able to like attack. I was still able to like defend myself against them. But yeah, I wasn't that experienced, but it's okay. You learn.
Hmm. And lastly, what were your parents' thoughts about you getting into wrestling?
They actually hated it at first. My mom hated it. My dad really liked it because he was like, "Yeah, like my daughter does wrestling," like he was really proud. But my mom actually hated it a lot. Because when I was in like my sophomore year of high school in ROTC, we have this like training for it's like an exclusive training. I don't know if they still have it or not, but when I was in my sophomore year, it's like if you wanted to be higher than a certain rank, you had to go through like a 3-month training that they do for you. Not a lot of schools do this. I feel like our school did it because we were very like strict about like who could get the higher rank, and
Hmm.
everything kind of had to like prove yourself in a way. It was kind of like a little bit like hazing. I'm not gonna but it was like a 3 month training, and when I was doing that, my mom hated it because it was a lot of PT, and I would always go home tired with like bruises on me sometimes, and then like she would hate it. And
Yeah.
and when I was in wrestling, it kind of reminded her of the same thing. But I told her like, no, this is something that I want to do, and if anything, Harvey does it too. Harvey's looking out for me at practice. It's okay. And like Nyat did it too when I did it. Nyat also did it as well. So it was like my two cousins were there like looking out for me at practice. And I think like it took a little bit of explaining to her like what I was doing and took like Harvey to kind of like be like, oh, she'll be okay. And then that was when my mom was like, okay, it's fine. Like you're not broken, at least. It's okay.
Yeah.
hmm
Gotcha. And ROTC is also a huge part of your high school career, right? So let's talk about
Fortunately, yeah.
that. Like what got you into it and like what went down basically, the whole
Uh,
experience.
so I was in ROTC all 4 years of high school, and it basically started with I was very influenced by Harvey. Like everything that Harvey did, I was most likely I was doing it as well.
Yeah.
Um, and our school, it was like if you did a semester of ROTC, then you didn't have to take geography your freshman year, which is like a required class. And I didn't want to take geography because I don't like geography. So I told Harvey, I was like, hey, like, is this true? Like, if I do ROTC, like, will I be able to skip geography? And he was like, yeah, it's true. Like, you just have to take it a semester and then like take another elective like the next semester. Like, you just have to stay in it for a semester. And I was like, oh, okay, like, I guess I'll do that because I don't want to take geography. And then, so I ended up being in ROTC my freshman year, and then after the first semester, I actually really liked it. I met a lot of new people. I've learned a lot of like cool stuff. I had no intention of like going in the military or anything like that. We were a Navy branch, and I wasn't like intending on going into the Navy. Maybe as like a nurse at the most, but like I didn't want to be like enlisted. Um, as like that or anything. But I continued to stay just because like I think the discipline that I got out of it, it definitely taught me a lot of like time management. It gave me a lot of opportunity to like become like a leader in a way. It taught a lot of leadership skills, and that's what I really wanted. So I stayed. I said that I was only going to stay my freshman year and then leave sophomore year, but then my freshman year, I actually did really well. I ranked up really easily.
Mhm.
The uniform I hated, looked like a potato sack, but I liked it a lot, and I liked the activities that we did. Our instructors were like super duper awesome. The extracurriculars that you get out of it was super cool as well. So I decided to stay. And then my sophomore year, I got the highest rank that you can get to without going through that training was uh, a petty officer first class. And then after that, you go into like the chiefs and stuff, and like all the officers. And I didn't want to just like plateau at like a PO1, so I decided to go through the training. And I knew it was going to be like really really hard, and you had to be like chosen to be in this training. You couldn't just like sign up for it. You had to be chosen by like your they call it like the platoon commanders, which is like students that lead the class.
Mhm.
So I got chosen, and I said yes. And this is the reason why like I couldn't do sports my sophomore year, because I this 3 month training was like basically a sport. It was like you had to learn like a lot of knowledge. You have to learn like a lot of PT. Just like kind of build yourself up to be a platoon commander, which is like somebody who's like in charge of the class, or just to rank up in general. And the training was really hard. Definitely one of the hardest things that I've been through in my life. And that's like me as like a high schooler. Like I was it was really tough. Like I don't think I've been through it anything like it in my life except for like something in college, but
Yeah.
I can't really talk about that. But yeah, so it was really tough, but I got through it, and then I ended up being like a chief. And by becoming like a chief, I was able to take on more leadership positions. So I was able to like be a commanding officer of like a drill team. Like I was part of color guard, and then I was able to like hand it down to somebody. And I eventually by the end of high school, I was able to rank up all the way to master chief, which is like I was the fourth highest in my what were we? I forget what we were in the company. No, I don't think we were big enough to be a company, but whatever. In my school, I was like the fourth highest rank. So it was
Wow,
nice.
got
It was
far.
cool. Yeah, it was definitely a lot of work. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, the commitment to that.
Yeah.
All right, so that's ROTC. Were you also involved in any other like clubs or activities?
I was involved in VSA in high school. I wasn't involved too much. I like went to I was more involved in like the cultural shows that we would do that they would host. So I would always be in like the modern fashion show and like the culture fashion show, which is like just us showing off like different aliyahs. And then the modern is like just like a modern fashion show. Like you kind of just dress up, kind of just
Yeah.
show like today's like modern culture, kind of like what we adapted to. And then what else was I say? I was always participating in Children Olympics, which is basically like battle of the classes for us. So it's really fun. So like a class dance, all the classes go against each other with like games and stuff. So it was really cool. A lot of like pride. I take a lot of pride in like the Children Olympics because it was always like our best school event, I feel like.
Hmm.
So yeah.
All right, switching gears a little bit. So throughout your entire like school career, have you ever encountered any form of bullying?
Mm, I did. It wasn't like straight up like bullying to my face. It was more kind of like the rumors, the gossip, kind of like that
I
kind of
see.
thing, and like
Yeah.
finding out about it. So it was like middle school going into high school. There was like things that happened in middle school, and then people were just like kind of talking about it, and like going from like person to person. It was like telephone, like things just like stories like got out, and then
Yeah.
people were just kind of like, "Oh, like Jess is weird," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not weird. I'm really nice. I promise." But it didn't affect like any of the friends I had currently. There were some people that I actually no, there's a lot of people that left, but
Mm.
that made me realize like oh who my core friends were. Because my best friend right now, she like went through all that with me. She stuck by my side since like the beginning of that, and she's still here today. So I love her a lot. And then my friend group that I hung out with in high school, they knew about that stuff too, but they kind of just like didn't care. They were like, "Oh, but that was like it's fine. Like you're a cool person, you know, like anything that they say about you, it's like it's not like you're a bad person, you know, like you might have messed up, but it's like you're
Hmm.
not a bad person." And I was like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
basically like dealt with it by just brushing it off and just keeping close to those who actually knew you.
Yeah, like I tried to make it seem like I brushed it off just because like kind of have like having like that not like nonchalant kind of personality. Like
Yeah.
I may seem like I brush it off, but I kind of deal with it like in private. So my friends would definitely hear like the more bad side of it of me like breaking down, like crying and stuff.
Hmm.
And then they would hear me kind of being like, "Oh my gosh, like this person said this. Like I don't even know like what's going on. Like I don't know what to do." And then but on the outside, like at school and stuff, I was just kind of like, "Oh, like whatever. Like if you don't want to talk to me, it's cool. Like I don't need to waste my energy like talking to you." But deep down inside, I was kind of just like, "Oh my gosh, like I don't know what to do. Like what if I lose everybody?" Because people think like a certain way.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was kind of like that kind of thing. It was all a lot of like there'd be sometimes where I would experience like the bullying face to face, but it was more of kind of just like people would avoid like me. Like if I would sit somewhere, they would kind of like get up and move, and I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, like
Hmm.
okay, I guess. But yeah.
And aside from bullying, have you ever gotten into any fights or physical altercations?
um No, I never was a really never was one to fight.
Hmm.
I'm always down to like if someone is like needs to, like, you know, like I they come at me first, then okay, like
Yeah, yeah.
we can do it. Um, but I don't think anyone has ever actually done that with me. I'm not the one to start fights,
Hmm.
more of kind of the one to just like finish it if it does start. But luckily enough, anyone that I ever had like an issue with, we kind of just like talked it out. We kind of go like, what are we doing? You know, like I
Yeah.
think I only had like one problem where in high school where it was just this other girl that I was just like just completely hated, and I would like to think we're cool now because we haven't talked in a really long time and we just like forgot about it. But I don't know. I don't want to assume. I don't want to like try to touch the topic with her. Um, but she she was just someone that I was like, if I need to fight her, I will.
Uh
But I
huh.
never like did anything because I never just we just never like looked at each other in a way. Like we kind of just always avoided each other because we were just kind of going, oh, we don't like each other. Like why are we gonna be in the same room as each other, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but I never like fought anybody unless you count like wrestling. There was actually no, there was one time in wrestling. I think the reason why I don't count this as a fight is because technically I was her partner. So she so like in wrestling you have like weight classes and I was in like the 106 weight class and I was paired up with someone who was like in the 116 or like one I think she was like 120 20 20 something. She was like pretty heavier, like
Wow.
a little bit
Yeah.
heavier than I am. So it's a bit harder to do moves on her just because like she's a little bit heavier. So I wasn't strong enough to handle somebody that was like 10 or 15 pounds heavier than me. And we were wrestling and she had me on like a chokehold, and that's not something you're supposed to do in wrestling. So like I couldn't breathe. And I was literally trying to tap on her. I was like, I can't breathe. Like I'm tapping out right now. Like I can't breathe. And she kept going, and I was like, okay, like, oh, I think this is how I die. Um, but
Yeah.
but then my cousins saw it and my coaches saw it, and they were like, hey, like you need to get off. You need to get off. And then so she got off of me, and I was like freaking out because I was like, oh my god, like I literally thought I was gonna pass out. And she was like, oh, I don't know what she's talking about. Like I wasn't even putting her in like a chokehold, and everybody was like, yeah, you were. Like we saw her like not being able to breathe, and I got like really upset because I was like, first of all, like she didn't even say sorry, she didn't even help me up. So I went outside for like a breather, and I came back in, and my coach was like, oh, we can switch you with somebody else if you want. And I was just like, no, 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 it's okay. Like I can continue to wrestle this girl. So I was like super pissed, and I ended up just like grabbing her, and I just ended up throwing her like on the ground because I got that like adrenaline strength, and
Yeah.
I like I grabbed her and I threw her on the ground, and I like called it. I was like, yeah, you lost, and then I walked away. That was like the
Damn.
closest thing I've gotten to a fight, but
Hmm.
that's kind of valid though, like it was wrestling.
I see what you mean.
But yeah.
Have you ever sustained a severe injury in your life?
Like broken a bone.
Yeah, whatever you consider like the worst for yourself.
um I've actually broken both of my ankles. That sounds so
Oh.
bad. It was actually when I was in like first and second grade.
Hmm.
uh like I said, I was that menace of a kid. So I thought I was cool, and I thought that I could make like a jump from, like the playground, you have like the monkey bars, and there's like a platform, and then there's like the monkey bars on the other end. You kind of just like, some kids would try to like jump and like hang on to the monkey bars. Yeah, I was that kid, and I thought that I could do it because I've done it before, but I guess I was like really sweaty, and then like my hands were really sweaty, and I tried to grab onto it, and then I fell, and
Yeah.
then I ended up landing on my ankle, and that broke my right ankle, and I was really sad. I was crying. They had to bring a wheelchair out to roll me to the office, and yeah, so I had a broken ankle, and I ended up missing a field trip, and I was really sad because it was like a really famous field trip that every third grader, I mean, every like second grader loved.
Hmm.
The first grade, how I broke my ankle, I don't even remember. I just remember having a broken ankle. But yeah, I have broken both my ankles before, and that's why like if I ever I always kind of explain this to people when they like point it out. If you see me walking, sometimes like my ankle kind of like bends in. That's just because it never like healed properly, I guess. So I do walk a little funny. I don't limp or anything. It's just my foot looks like it's broken all the time.
Yeah.
So if you ever see me in person and you see that, just I'm okay. Just,
Got it. Got it.
broken ankles. But yeah.
So that was like the most severe, the ankles.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think like I haven't broken any other bones or anything. I mean, I have like a scar in my knee, but that was because like I slid on the concrete when I was playing like basketball with my friends.
Hmm.
And it's like a really deep scar, and it like kind of healed. Basically the skin kind of like grew over the injury, and then I guess like underneath healed after, so you can kind of see like where the scabs would be, but it's like really weird. It's kind of disgusting.
I see. Dang.
It was like bleeding all the way down my leg. It was so gross.
From basketball.
Yeah, it's like because like for ROTC we'd have to do like PT every Friday,
Hmm.
and we would choose like different sports to do, and basketball was always like the sport chosen. So
Yeah.
yeah, I like ran into like a really tall dude. It's kind of scary.
Oh shit. Okay, wrapping up at least the high school talk. Just out of
Mhm.
curiosity, did you end up going to your prom or homecoming?
I did. I went to everything. I actually went to prom my freshman year because
Wow.
somebody asked me.
Hmm.
Turned out he had a crush on me. He told me that he was a senior, and he told me the last day of school that he had a crush on me. And I was like, why didn't you tell me before? Like, why did you tell me at prom? And because we like slow dance and everything. I mean, I didn't feel the same way, but I was just like, why didn't you just tell me at prom? Why did you wait all this time? And he was like, oh, I was shy, like I didn't know. And I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you. Like, have a good summer, good luck. I kind of like turned him down. I felt really bad. But I didn't go to prom my freshman year. I didn't go my sophomore year because my boyfriend at the time, we were both like sophomores. So I like obviously couldn't go. And then we went my junior and senior year, and it was really fun. We tried to always do like different things. Like I always you know how guys usually wear like a black suit? I told him, I was like, no, I want to be different. I want to be cool. So I put him in like a gray suit, and then also my senior year I put him in like a beige suit. Um yeah, it was really fun.
Got it. Okay, so you had a good
Mhm.
experience at least.
I did,
Cool,
yes.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, so now give us an overview of what went down when you graduated high school up until today. And
So when I
oh, sorry. And if you do bring up streaming, we'll talk about that later on. So you could be
okay,
brief about that.
okay, cool. So after high school, I was kind of forced to grow up pretty fast. I I moved since my parents moved to Texas. I had to move out because I didn't really want to commute from Milpitas all the way to SF all the time because that's
Mm-hmm.
like super long, and I would have always hit traffic, which I hate. I hate traffic going to San Jose. Like I hate it so much. So I was like, I don't want to hit traffic, so I'm just gonna move out. And yeah, so I moved out with my ex and his best friend my freshman year. We lived in Daly City. I've lived in Daly City like my whole like college career so far. And so we lived in like an apartment. It was like a one bedroom apartment. We shared one room. There I obviously I was with my ex, so we had like a bed, and then our other friend, he had a bed. So it was like two beds in one room. It was terrible. We shared one closet.
Mm-hmm.
I had like a little section, and I was just like, oh my god, like my clothes is not gonna fit here. My clothes was everywhere. And we shared the bedroom because we wanted like our living room space to be open. So we had like one couch, we had like a tiny TV stand. I had a table, like a desk, but I didn't even have a chair for my desk, so I never used it. My ex had like his setup right by the kitchen. So it was a really cute apartment, but it was tiny. And we paid so much money. And if you know, like rent in the Bay Area is just
Mm-hmm.
like just too expensive. It's
Not
so
it,
much
yeah.
money. It's not it. And that was like the best thing we could afford at the time. And then every single year that I have been in college, I have moved. So then my sophomore year, my ex and I broke up. So then I moved out and I moved in with some of my coworkers. And I think this is the only time that I didn't live in Daly City. It was like it's technically Daly City because SF State isn't really even in SF. It's kind of like borderline Daly City.
Mm-hmm.
But we lived in like the apartments that was like right across, and it was really nice, really convenient. And then my junior year, me and my roommates, some of us, we moved into like a bigger house in Daly City, and it was like a really cute house. But then we had like a falling out with one of my roommates. So then my current roommates and I moved into this space, and this space is like perfect. We love it. It's a three-bedroom, and we all have our own room. It's great. I have the master, which is fantastic, and it's in a really good neighborhood where it's pretty close to like where we work and everything. So instead of moving, we're actually going to stay for another year, which is really nice because I was getting tired of like packing up my stuff and moving.
Yeah.
um but yeah, moving out of high school, I mean, yeah, getting out of high school and graduating, I definitely had to grow up very fast
Mm-hmm.
because I was still like 18, 19, and I had to figure out like rent. I had to figure out like a lease. I had to figure out like co-signers, credit. I don't have credit because I don't have a credit card. So I had to figure out like that whole thing. And then moving out, you try your best to prepare for it. Like you're like, okay, like I know I got to pay for bills, but then it doesn't hit you like how many bills you have to pay for. It like starts
Mm-hmm.
stacking up, like, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like what the hell? And then you just start getting like shit thrown at your face over and over again. So it was definitely tough, a lot of adapting, but I think it's definitely taught me how to like just be more prepared for like a lot of stuff, like do my research before I do things. But yeah, it was like a lot of like there's a lot of shit being thrown at my face.
Wow. So
Hmm.
did you have a choice to go to like Texas with your parents? And I'm also curious as to why you chose like SF State.
So I did have a choice to go with my parents to go to Texas,
Yeah.
but I think the reason why I didn't go was because since I had a boyfriend at the time,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to like move away from him because as for me personally, I can't do long distance just because I'm very needy,
Mm-hmm.
very needy. So I cannot do long distance. And I didn't want to move away from like all my friends and like from what I know. And being in Texas, I just wouldn't know what to do there because I don't know anything about like the schools out there. And I didn't apply to any schools and I was trying to like graduate like as early as possible. So
Yeah.
I chose SF State. And the reason why I chose SF State is because that's actually the only school that accepted me.
Mm-hmm.
All the other schools rejected me. I was really hoping for Long Beach. Like I really, really wanted to go to Long Beach, but they hit me with the wait list and then they hit me with the
Oh.
rejection. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I'll go to SF State. And I was thinking about going to community. That was definitely an option for me too. But I think like since my current boyfriend at the time and his friend, we all got accepted to SF State, we were just kind of like, you know what, fuck it, let's just go. We can like live together, we'll figure it out together. So that's why we packed up and moved out here. And I think my ex and his friend, they ended up moving back home, and I'm the only one that still stayed out here. So, yeah.
Yeah, so after you switched from bio to graphic design, did you finish school already, or what's the progress right now?
So when I was still in bio, I was in like my third year.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in like my third year, and I would have been finished with bio if I didn't take this gap year. I would have graduated either this semester or in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it just wasn't working out. So
Yeah.
even though I was almost done, I decided, like, you know what, like I don't want to waste another year wondering like, what if I change my major, like would I be happier? So I decided to just take like the gap year and figure it out. And then that was when I decided, like, you know what, like I'm just gonna switch my major into something that I really want to do, because I mean I'm already like on this gap year. So I was like, you know what, it's all good, like it's fine. So yeah.
Yeah, so why specifically graphic design?
So graphic design is actually something that I really want to do. I've been wanting to do for a really long time. When I was little, I would always see like graphic designers, and I was like, wow, like that's super cool. Like you get to do stuff on the computer, and you get to I don't know, it's really cool. It's like really intriguing to me. So I decided to switch to it because I actually wanted to switch into it my freshman year of high school. I had the form in hand and everything. Um and I even went to like the fine arts building and
Mm-hmm.
asked them like what would be the major that I'm looking for right now. And they told me visual communication design, which is just like a fancier way of saying like graphic design. And I said, okay, like let me fill out this form and hand it in. But I never did, because my even though my parents and my family are very like lenient and they're very like chill, they're also very cutthroat with like success. So they're just like, we want all of our like grandchildren and our kids to succeed. And I was kind of put in that position of like, oh, are you gonna be a doctor or are you gonna be a lawyer? um
Yeah.
because that was kind of like the route that I was going and the route that they kind of like saw for me. And I kind of got stuck, so I kind of stayed with bio. And then I started playing games more because I stopped playing games freshman to like halfway through junior year, because moving so much, I never had like enough money to buy like a setup. I never had enough money to like buy like a console. And then when I started working more my junior year, I saved up, and like that quarantine money, the EDD money. Um,
Uh-huh.
I saved up a lot more, and I was able to get a PC, and it was great. Justin actually paid for my PC. Shout out to Justin. So he actually paid for my PC and I paid for like everything else. And I started playing games a lot more, and I started like noticing that I was always intrigued by how animators would make like all the animations, would make like the characters, make like the character design, basically like the whole game in general. And I found myself like watching videos of people that drew, that did graphic design, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I was putting more effort into learning about that rather than looking for like volunteer opportunities at like hospitals or something, like what I should have been doing with my
Mm-hmm.
major. So that's when I sat down and I was like, okay, I need to rethink about my career pathway because I'm not passionate about what I'm in right now. And I'm putting more time into something that isn't even like I'm not even supposed to be doing this right now. And but I'm putting in more time. So I figured that if I'm putting more time to learning about graphic design and learning about how people are doing it, I might as well just do it too, you know? Like, cause that way, maybe in the future, I could do that and also help out other people that maybe are in the same shoes as me. Like, if they don't know what to do, but they're interested in something, like, just to show them that, like, it's okay. Like, even if you're almost done with one major, it's okay to switch.
Yeah.
Just because, like, if graphic design doesn't necessarily like work out for me, I know that I could go back to biology and only have like a year left to finish. So I could just piggyback off of that. But but yeah, I like ever switching to graphic design, it's like a weight lifted off of my shoulders. Like it's great. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay, thank you for explaining that.
Mhm,
So, we will transition to your work experiences now.
mhm.
So, talk about the very first job that you got, what went down, and then how things progressed up until what you're doing today.
So my first job was actually at a boba shop. I was 17 years old and I really wanted a job and I was like, you know what? Like I'm just gonna apply to a boba shop because I was drinking boba like goddamn near every day. And I was like, you know what? Like if I'm gonna spend so much money on boba every single month, I might as well just work at a place where I can get free boba. So I
Nice.
applied to Gongcha, and Gongcha isn't the best milk tea spot, okay? Like, I get that. But it was good enough. So I applied to Gongcha and I got in and I started working and it was really fun actually. Gongcha would be my favorite job that I've ever worked at
Hmm.
because it was just like the environment was really cool. My coworkers were super friendly. The manager was amazing. And I think the thing with like working at a boba shop is that like if you're not busy like as a store, it's dead. So you're getting like free money kind of. And then you also get tip. So, a tip is nice at Boba because I feel like everyone doesn't realize that, oh, if I'm tipping $1, it's like not that much, but it honestly like adds up a lot.
Yeah.
And I was getting like $80 tips with like every single like paycheck. It was really nice. Um, so that was my first ever job, and I worked there for like a year. And then when I graduated high school, I transferred to the Gongcha that's like SF downtown.
Hmm.
And I worked there for like a month, but then I quit because I was tired of taking the BART downtown. I hated it so much. I would go from like school to the BART station, and then um, I would like go back to the BART station after work at like 9 p.m. It's just like really scary. I
Yeah.
don't recommend it. So I quit Gongcha and then I started working at the mall that's like nearby. There's like a Sephora that was inside JCPenney and I applied to that. So then I worked in Sephora for like a little bit and then they actually got closed down. Because I don't know why. I think it's because JCPenney like wasn't making like enough money or something. So then they ended up closing down and then I had to find a new job. So then I applied to the Nordstrom that was downtown. I don't know why I did that to myself again. I said that I was never going to take the BART to work ever again, but I did anyways. And I worked there for like a day. I figured out that Nordstrom is not it. Like I wasn't they put me in the jewelry department and oh my goodness, I was sitting at the computer trying to memorize a bunch of jewelry stuff for like 3 hours. I fell asleep at the computer. My manager had to wake me up. I was so embarrassed. I was like, "Oh my god, I need to go home like now." So I went home and then I called them and I was like, "You know, I'm really sorry. Like this isn't working out." So I quit and then I started working at ZARA cuz how did I start working there? Um, I think I had like a mutual that worked at Zara. And I worked at I after I started working at Zara, it's good money and it wasn't too bad at the time. So I worked there for like up to like 3 years. And then I recently just quit like a month and a half ago because the thing with Zara is that like it's good money and stuff, but it's really hard to kind of improve or like get a better position or get higher pay.
Hmm.
Just because it's like all the positions are kind of set in stone. They always have like people that they're looking at to kind of fill those positions. So it's always really hard to like reach out and be like, oh, like I kind of want to try this position. And even if you did, they were like pretty picky about who they wanted. So I ended up quitting because I wanted to just grow more as like a employee. So I started working at where I work now, which is at Sticks, and it's as like a small business. It's like a Korean corn dog place that also sells like boba and stuff. So I started working there, and already working there, it already feels like so much better. And I think it just reminds me of like when I worked at Gongcha because it's like another boba place. So it's definitely like very nostalgic, very cool. Manager is very cool. Store owners are amazing.
Hmm.
Um, and already, like, I already asked them, like, if there's anything else that you need me to do in terms of, like, maybe like a higher position or like something for better pay, like, please, like, let me know. I would love to. And they've already offered me like a couple options. So it's really cool. Like, I already see like a lot more room for growth. And I think like that's definitely what I needed in
Yeah.
life.
Wow, that's awesome. A lot of different customer service like experiences from what I've seen.
Yeah, I have like that fake customer service voice. Like,
So I'm sure you've dealt with a lot of people that gave you a hard time, right? So
Mhm.
what experiences or memories do you have of that sort?
So during Sephora, during Christmas, it would always be like really busy,
Hmm.
just because like everyone's trying to buy their gifts. And I remember, so JCPenney didn't really have like a very strict returning policy. All you really had to do was like have your receipt or like have the card that you purchased it with, and then we could look it up. And I remember this one time, this lady like came in and she was trying to return something that her daughter gave her, and I'm like she assumed that her daughter bought it, so she brought in like the receipt, but then it was the wrong receipt and it didn't have it on there. So I told her like, "Oh, this isn't the right one, but if we use like your daughter's card, like we can look up the receipt for you." So she was like, "Oh, that's great." And so we tried looking it up, and then it wasn't there. So I told her, I was like, "Oh, it might have been purchased on like somebody else's card, or like somebody else gave it to her and she like gifted it to you. I don't know." And I had to go like back and forth explaining to her like our return policy, and she just kept getting like really upset with me and my coworker.
Hmm.
And my manager like comes back from her break, and I explained to her like her situation, and I was hoping my manager would just take the return, but she didn't. And she actually like stood her ground and did not take the return. And then she kind of left, and I was like, "Wait, like why did you leave? Like I need you to finish this person off because I can't finish this person off because they're not going to listen to me." So I just kept telling her like my manager like said no, like I'm sorry, that's kind of the final word. And then she like crumpled her receipt that she had and she like threw it at my face. And
What?
I felt so disrespected. I was like, "Wait, what just happened?" And my coworker and I just look at each other. We have like a line, right? Because it's like during Christmas time, and we have like a line. And I just looked at my coworker and I was just like, "Did that just happen? Like, did she just throw this at me?" I'm like holding the ball. I'm like, "Did this just happen to me?"
Hmm.
And then I like took the receipt and I was just like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go on my break now. Good luck. I'm gonna have our manager ring instead of me." But yeah, that's one. And then this, I think the second one, it didn't happen to me, but at Zara, Zara customers are like a different breed.
Hmm.
They're just really mean. But then again, like Zara employees are also very mean. Coming from like a Zara employee myself, I would say that we're pretty mean. But that's just because like we deal with like so much bullshit on the daily that it just like puts us in a mood. So I would always be at the register during our sale season because we didn't have enough like cashiers. And um, I always try my best to like keep my calm, but I had a coworker, she she just did not care. And I think there was this one time, she's really tough, and if anyone were to make her cry, like that's how you know, like they were being like really, really mean. And
Yeah.
I was ringing like not too far away from her, but it wasn't like close enough to where I could hear what was going on. But I remember like I was just ringing, and then I hear her like kind of arguing a little bit, and then the person leaves, and then my coworker like runs behind me, and then I kind of like look at her and I'm like, "Oh, like are you okay? Like what's going on?" And then I look at her and there's just like tears, her eyes are puffy. And then she was like, "That person was just so mean and disrespectful, like I could not." And then I was like, "What did they say to you? Like what happened?" And then she
Hmm.
was just like, she just called me like a dumb bitch and said that I don't deserve to be here, like I need to get a better job, that they shouldn't be paying me. And then she just got like really,
Jeez.
really upset. She like ran to the break room. And I was just like, "Oh my gosh," I was like, "People are so mean sometimes when they like I'm just like an employee can't do much, you know what I mean?" So it's
Hmm.
like it was really sad to see her cry.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff, but I think those are like the two ones that just like stick in my head when I think of retail. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what sticks in my head.
Okay, so with that being said, what would you want people to know about those like who work in the customer service industry? Like just general
Um,
thoughts.
I guess I would just want, if you are the one working in customer service, I would say that don't take anything personal.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the person is probably just like frustrated, and I'm sure like you would probably be frustrated too if you're in the same position. So don't take anything personal if they do say something that is personal. Just kind of like try your best to not take it so much to heart because they probably don't mean it. Unless they do, then they're just like a really bad person if they do. But usually, like 90% of the time, they don't mean it. They're just like really frustrated. But if you're someone who is talking to somebody who's working in customer service, I would say just try your best to keep your calm, just because you never know like what that person is going through.
Mm-hmm.
Like one bad thing that you say could just like tick them off and just like that it could just ruin their day. And with customer service workers, it's like they're trying their best to provide the best service to you, but sometimes we're just limited on like what we can do. Like especially at retail or like yeah, basically at retail, like you're so limited on what you can do. Like if you can't take a return back, like that's just you just can't. Like you can ask for a manager, but I mean, you don't get paid enough to sit there and like actually figure stuff out, you know? So if you are a customer service worker, I usually just call the manager because as much as I love my managers and I don't want to cause trouble for them, it's like they're getting paid a lot more than I am and I don't get paid enough to stand here and like fight this person or argue with this person. So just call your manager over. Just know that if it's like going to be an issue, just call your manager over, have them deal with it. They're probably trained to deal with it. They can probably easily like fix something. They get paid to do it. You don't. You get paid minimum wage.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, and a random question, but do you ever recall working with Vinny? If you know Vinny,
I
right?
yes.
Okay.
Oh my god, funny story about oh my god. Okay. He knows this story too. Okay, so
Okay.
about Vinny, I actually worked at Gongcha with him. So
Mhm.
he was like one of my first ever like coworkers. I was actually really intimidated by him at first because he just looked like that cool guy and I was like a high schooler, so I was like, oh my gosh, like
Mhm.
I'm intimidated. So I always avoided talking to him, but then one of my friends that I was really close to was also like one of his close friends, or they were like they seemed really close. So I was like, you know what, I need to like open up or something. So I started talking to him more. But this one day, right? I come into work, I'm like one of the closers, and I take over for the kitchen. And I think Vinny is in like the front, so he wasn't in the kitchen, but I took over for whoever was in the kitchen. And we were like pretty backed up with the tea. And if you're in the kitchen, you have to like make all the tea, you have to like refill all the tea. So the person left and I was like, "Oh shit, like I have all this tea that I need to make. I need to make black milk tea, I need to make black tea." So I was rushing and we have this like pitcher of like hot water that we like use to fill up the pots. So I was like rushing. And then I had this pitcher of like boiling water. I think it was at like 203 like degrees or something, and i I was rushing so much. I did something, I was carrying it like this and then it like spilled on my wrist. And then I was like, oh my god. And then I just felt like my whole entire arm is like burning, and
Yeah.
I was telling my shift lead, I was like, I can't do this. I was like, I just spilled all that water on my arm. And then I feel it like bubbling up, like you know how like when you
Oh
burn
yeah.
you get like a bubble. I
Mhm.
felt it bubbling up and I was like, oh my god, like oh my god, I just burned my wrist. And then Vinny casually walks to the back, right? How he is nonchalantly, he's just walking to the back, he sees me like freaking out, and he like washes his hands or something. And he just goes to me, he just starts flicking water at me. And I was like, I am about to die right now, and you are just flicking water at me. He literally stands there. You know how he has his smile? He's literally like, and I was like, Vinny, what are you doing? I don't know if he knew that like I burned my hand. I don't know if he knew that, but I was looking at him and I was just like, thanks, Vinny. And I started running my arm under cold water, and I was like, oh my god, Vinny. And then it was so funny. I was looking at him and I was like, thanks. I totally needed that.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
I remember working with him.
got it. So
Yeah, he was like really fun to work with.
Okay, cool. He's still the
Yeah.
same then, huh?
Yeah. Still a goofball.
That is a hell of a story. Dang, you're like in so much pain and he jokes around.
Yeah. But to be fair, I don't think he knew, so
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Just wrapping up the work stuff out of curiosity. So, since you live in SF, right? What do you
Mhm.
think about driving in that city?
I avoid it at all costs.
Uh-huh.
Um, I can barely drive as it is. So I don't think driving in SF would be ideal for me. I have this thing where I think my car is a lot bigger than it is. So no matter where I drive, I literally think I'm gonna hit everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I am very far away from something, like if I'm in like a tight street, I think I'm like a pickup truck or something. Like I think I can't fit through it until I start driving through it slowly, and I'm just like, oh, okay, like I fit. I guess I'm not that big. And then so yeah, I don't think I can drive in SF. If I have to, I will. I have driven in SF a couple times. But it's only mainly been around like the Bill Graham area because that's where my other best friend lives. So if I've dropped her off a couple times and she lives like right there. So I've driven around that area, but I've never driven towards like Embarcadero. I've driven there once, but it was like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. So it
Mm-hmm.
was really empty. But I've never driven during like traffic hours or like rush hour. I always leave that to Justin. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, he said he makes
So
sure.
it's
I make him
just
drive.
not fun driving in SF, basically.
No, I
Not
mean
ideal.
some people like it, but I hate it personally. I like my open space.
Mhm.
So I would not recommend driving in SF at all.
All right. Before we move on to social life aspects, do you need to take a break or anything?
I'm okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, if you've ever gone through any of these phases, talk about it, your experience. So, partying, raving, and clubbing.
All the above.
All
um
right.
so what was the first one? Partying?
Yeah.
Okay, so partying, you know what? I didn't get into it until after high school. I wasn't that kid that started in high school. I actually started in college. Just because like I think in high school, my friends and I were very like wholesome. We were like a very wholesome group. We went to a couple parties, but it was never parties that we were like drinking or anything like that. It was parties where it was kind of just like chilling. So it
Mhm.
was very wholesome. But then in college, that was when we got introduced to more like alcohol and stuff. So then we started drinking a little bit more. But I didn't start partying until my sophomore year in college because I met like more people
Mhm.
and then started drinking a lot more sophomore year. And then now it's kind of like the group that I have now, like we're all kind of a bunch of like party animals. So we last summer we started partying a lot. We were having like a party almost like every single weekend at my house. My house, I would like to call it the trap house because if we ever have a party, it's like always at my house. Um this looks really clean now, right? There's
Mhm.
usually someone like knocked out right there. I'm
Oh.
knocked out like right here. Someone's in my bathroom like throwing up. Someone's in the other bathroom outside throwing up. We have people knocked out in the living room.
Jeez.
Yeah, if you ever come to one of our, oh, you will come to one of our parties someday. But yeah, it's a good time. Uh,
Mhm.
so we want to bring it back this summer. We want to do it like times 10 this summer just because the last summer was super duper fun. And even though like we were pretty much like blacked out all the time, it was great. With raves, I started raving uh, my freshman year in college. My first ever rave was Bay Nights, and I forgot who was there. I think the only DJ I remember was 4B. 4B was there, and then yeah, so I started raving then. It was also the first time that I started like doing other stuff. And yeah, so ever since then I've been kind of like a rave slave. I've been out. I've seen a lot of DJs. My favorite DJ to see is Elenium. I've seen Elenium like I don't know how many times I've seen him letting him, but I've seen him letting him so he's so good. Oh my god, he makes me
Mm-hmm.
cry every time. And what's it called? My last event was Set the Sky.
Oh,
I
okay.
think was Set the Sky.
It was in like March.
Unless yes,
Mm.
unless I'm missing one. But I think we're gonna go see Dr. Fresh this Friday because one of my mods is coming to the city. So we're gonna go see Dr. Fresh, but it's at a club. So yeah, but with clubbing, I actually don't go clubbing that often. I thought that I would go clubbing a lot more when I turned 21 last year, but I honestly don't go as much. I've been to two different, no, one club. I've been to one club,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just YOLO in SF. It's not that great. But I've been to YOLO. I want to go to more clubs, but they're kind of expensive. I think I've been to more bars than I have clubs. So yeah.
So how would you compare the difference between like being at a club and a rave for you personally?
I love being at a rave a lot more. Just because everyone is a lot more respectful. I mean, I feel like as of lately, I think this has been going around like TikTok too. I think a lot of people have been saying that raves haven't been the most like blur. I guess like not a lot of people have been the most respectful at raves, which I do kind of see because when I went to Beyond earlier this year, it wasn't the most respectful event that I've been to. Like people were like really shovey, really like disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
But with clubbing, I think that's like a regular. People always like disrespectful. So unless you go with like a really big group, then I feel like you kind of don't really run into those kind of people. But I definitely do prefer raving over clubbing. I like the music at raves a lot more.
Yeah.
I'm not really. I'm more of like an EDM type of person, so I don't really what's it called? Listen to any like club music.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of like EDM, so I like raves a lot more.
And about raves, since Elenium's like one of your favorite artists, what was your favorite event that you've ever been to?
This trilogy was so good. It was on in Vegas, and it was amazing. Like his show was really cool. Um, I don't remember most of it, but the parts that I do remember, it was really cool, and the fact that it was in Vegas, it was super cool. Yeah, if I can go back to an event and relive it, it would probably be a trilogy. If not trilogy, then I think another one of my favorite events is when Excision performed last. Excision is also top tier. I recommend if you have not seen Excision live, you need to go see him live because he is really good. Um, but yeah, because I went to Excision 2 years ago, but he was good. But I feel like it was different this year or last year. It was like super good. I don't know. He's just really good. Millennium and Excision, chef's kiss. Like they're just so good.
So what's the wildest experience or memory you have from like either partying, clubbing, or raving? Any like good or bad stories?
I would say the wildest memory I have from partying, because I feel like with raves, I don't really have like a crazy story,
Mm-hmm.
because it all kind of just like goes the same, you know? But partying, however, I think the craziest story I've had is on my 21st. Because when I turned 21, I did not think I was going to drink that much. But meeting like my group of friends, everyone was kind of like, no, like you're gonna drink, like you're gonna match our shots. And at the time, like I could drink, but my tolerance was still pretty at like a solid like 5, 6 shots. Kind of the same thing as now, but I kind of like hold myself together a little bit better. But last year on my 21st, we went to this bar in SF. It's called like Valencia Room. It's kind of like a bar slash club. It's classified as a bar, but it kind of has more like club feels. And I don't know, I came there, I was ready to drink, I ended up upstairs. I chugged an AMF and then took shots with everybody. And then I remember taking a picture. I remember that. And then I guess I fell. right? I don't know how I fell. I can't. I heard about the day after that I fell in the club. I don't remember that, right? I don't remember that. But I remember going down the stairs, and then I remember Justin was like trying to hold me up and everything, and I could not walk. I was little dead weight, and then I blacked out. I blacked out, and then I guess I threw up, and then I remember waking up and I was like laying down somewhere, but in my head at the time, I thought that I was laying down at the bar. Um, I thought they pulled out like a mattress for me to like lay down in the
Mm-hmm.
bar, right? But then I like opened my eyes and I saw like my gray wall and I was like, "Wait, like I'm not at the bar still. Like I'm home. Like how did I get home?" And then yeah, and then my friends like explained it to me and turns out like Justin's friend had to carry me from the car to upstairs and I was just like knocked out in bed and I woke up at like 6 a.m. and I threw up and then yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was funny
21st.
because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was not the only one fucked up. A lot of my other friends were fucked up too. So it was not only me. It was great. It was a great time, big party and everything. But yeah, it was great.
All right. Speaking about drinking, what was your first experience like?
My first experience drinking, it was actually in the first apartment that I moved out to,
Mm-hmm.
and we all weren't 21, so I had to like message my cousin who Tiffany, who was in town at the time, lucky for us. uh she bought us like a bunch of alcohol, and like she asked us like what we wanted, and I said like, oh, like I wanted we wanted like Jameson, and then I think we also got sangria, like the bottles with like the fruits on them, the black and the white one. I don't know why we thought that was a good idea. Sangria is nasty. Um, and then what else did we get? But yeah, I don't remember what other alcohol we got, but we ended up drinking like a lot. And I was drunk. My best friend was drunk. I don't know if any of my other friends were drunk, but I know I was drunk. And I remember waking up, and that's when I had my first hangover. And my hangovers, I don't know why, they're terrible. Like no matter what I do, like I'm terrible with hangovers. I throw up for hours. I feel dead. I lay in bed for like hours and then at like 3, 4 p.m. is when I feel a little bit better. And so yeah, that was like my first time. And then all my friends were fine, but I was like hung the fuck over. Like I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
it hit.
Yeah. It hit. Like the sangria was nasty. Don't drink sangria.
Okay, so what type of drunk would you say you are? Like when you don't black out?
I think I need my friends to confirm this for me.
Okay.
Because I feel like anytime I drink, I always end up blacking out. I say that I don't black out, but I always end up blacking out. I feel like I'm the type of drunk that is I get really loud. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I laugh at everything. Even though I laugh at everything when I'm sober, I still feel like I laugh at even more things when I'm drunk. I'm an instigator, so I make more people drink and I will drink with them. So not only do I instigate them, but I instigate myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, I would say I'm like the instigating drunk. Like once I get drunk, it's like I'll just keep drinking.
Got it. Got it. Keeping it real.
Yeah.
All right. So, what is your favorite drink and worst or least favorite?
My least favorite is like our darks. So like
Darks. Okay.
Henny or like Jameson. Oh my god, disgusting. I can't. And I think it's because I drank a lot of Jameson when I was like freshman, like freshman year in college. I drank a lot of Jameson, so I hate it now. I love tequila now. I like tequila. I prefer it over anything else. Vodka is kind of like the in between. Like if you have it, like I'll drink it, but I don't really prefer it either. But yeah, tequila is my favorite, and then Henny and Jameson are like disgusting. I think the only dark I'll drink is like Um, is Crown considered a dark? I think Crown is considered dark.
Brown.
But yeah, I would drink Crown because Crown is like sweet. So yeah.
Okay, switching it up again. We're gonna talk about some of your interests. Are
Okay.
you a fan of anime?
I am, yeah.
Give us your top 5 of all time.
Top five. Okay, top five. Haikyuu, Demon Slayer, uh, Oran High School Host Club. So old. That's so old. Um, Soul Eater, and oh my god, the fifth one. I feel like I'm leaving one out. Oh, and Free, the swimming one.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. I know I have like different. I feel like I say different animes than like other people. I feel like the first two are like very common,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next, like my next two, are just kind of like, oh wow.
Yeah, exactly. My thought. All right. How about top 5 movies and then top 5 TV shows?
Top five movies. Like still an anime or
Oh no no, just
is
a
it just like in
separate like
general?
yeah,
Separate.
movies and shows.
Okay, well, my favorite movie, I would say, is Big Hero 6, because
Mm.
Baymax is so cute. And then the second one, I like Your Name, even though like it's not to include anime, but Your Name is good. I like Your Name a lot. Um, I like Up. Raya the Last Dragon is really good too. I would say that's like my top three. I don't think I have a like top five for that one.
No worries. Okay.
But my favorite TV show would be Gossip Girl. I love Gossip Girl. I just watched the new season and it's pretty good. I like it a lot.
Gossip Girl. Okay.
Mhm.
Was there any other shows or was that like the main?
Um, I think that would be the main show for now. I think because like all the others, I mean, Carrie Diaries is also really good because it focuses on like fashion, which is also like something that I'm interested in. So it was really cool seeing that. It's like Gossip Girl and Carrie Diaries is like my top two. Yeah.
Mhm. Current favorite song.
Oh, this is so hard. Favorite song. Current favorite song. Hmm, I would say it's a really old song. Um, I like Best Love Song by T-Pain. And then I
Best
think
love
Chris
song.
Brown is in it too. Yeah, it's like super old, but it's like that one song that I can like always go to and always know that like I'll listen to the whole thing because I'm the type of person where if I'm listening to like music, I tend to skip it if I get too bored. But Best Love Song is like one of those songs that I will listen to it like all the way through. So I would say that was like my favorite song.
Would you? Okay, let me ask you this.
Mhm.
Not specifically to EDM, but what would your who would be your favorite artist like in general?
In general, Justin Bieber.
Oh,
I love
okay.
Justin Bieber. I used to be a hardcore like believer. Like I bought everything that he came out with, like all of his perfumes I had. He had this like hair perfume for girls. I had that. When I went to like his what's it called? His Believe tour in San Jose, like I kept everything that I had. We had these like these little pieces of paper that we would hold up and I kept that. But yeah, I would say Justin Bieber is like my favorite artist just because like anytime I listen to his music, it when I listen to his old music, it reminds me of when I was a kid, and then when
Hmm.
I listen to his new music, it's just like very chill music to listen to.
Justin Bieber. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm that girl.
If you have any, feel free to talk about tattoos and piercings.
I actually don't have any tattoos, but I do want a lot of tattoos. But it's really expensive, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't have enough money to have like that down payment for like the appointment. But I really want a tattoo on like my I don't know if I want it on my left or my right shoulder just yet, but I do want it to go from like right here to kind of go down my arm, kind of like a quarter sleeve. I do want it to be of a dragon. I know it's very cliche, but
Mhm.
I want a dragon just because I'm the year of the dragon, so it means something to me. And then I want it to wrap around like my shoulder and then slowly move into like a bed of like lotuses because that's like the Vietnamese national flower. And then within like the lotuses, the dragon is like wrapping around my arm. And then in the lotuses, I want there to be like little peekaboos of my mom and dad's zodiac sign, which is the ox and the mouse. And then I also want a little duck because my I call my stream the little ducklings. And then but yeah, so that's what I would want. And then I wanted a tattoo like behind my ear, like an ear cuff. I thought that'd be pretty cool. But that's all I have for now. Piercings, I don't have any. I did. I had two ear piercings. I had like the two lobe piercings, but
Mhm.
then I it actually closed, like the holes closed because when I was in wrestling, I had to take it off and I never put it
Ah,
back on. So
okay.
it's been like a solid 5 years, and I'm pretty sure if I tried to put it back in, it would not go through. So no
Gotcha.
piercings. I'm very vanilla.
You have a vision for the tattoos though, so that's pretty cool.
I know. I want it by summer, but the artist that I want to get tatted by, she just closed her openings, so I need to wait until she opens it back up.
I see a guitar. Do you play?
I used to. I actually just picked it up from Tiff, my cousin, because she had it for a while.
Uh-huh.
I played it in high school. I literally tried playing it the other day. I don't know where all the skill went. It like went out the door. The only thing
Mhm.
I remember how to play is piano, but I don't have a
Ooh,
keyboard.
okay.
So I really want a keyboard though because I don't know, I just like playing like piano. It's very like soothing. So I want to get one. But yeah, that little guitar right there, that's just
Yeah,
decoration, you know?
got
Like
it.
I could try to play it someday, but right now, no.
All right, and go to boba drinks. Order drinks.
Boba. Hmm. Anything strawberry, because I love strawberry.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be like my go-to. Anything strawberry, or if I really want to test out, this is my like theory, right?
Yeah.
My theory is that if I go to a new boba place, then I will try their like house milk tea, and if I like their house milk tea, then I know that place is good. Because if they have a trash house milk tea,
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
I can't. It's hard for me to
The
trust their other
trust.
drinks
Yeah.
because I'm just like, oh, that's like the most basic milk tea. Like, oh my
Huh.
gosh. But yeah, that's my theory. So I always get either anything strawberry, or if I really want to test my theory, then I'll go with like a basic milk tea because that's like my ultimate test.
Yeah. Does that include like strawberry matcha?
Yes. Yes.
And do you have like any specific favorite chain or store?
Mm, I really like Soyful. Just because their milk tea is like very like creamy.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot, but I do get sick of it sometimes. But
Mm-hmm.
as of right now, my favorite milk tea spot would probably be like Tasty. I know my mod
Mm.
Calvin is if he's here, he's probably gonna hate me for saying that because he like hated working there. But I would say Tasty because I really like their fruit drinks. I like fruity drinks more than like milky drinks.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hmm.
Okay, so what traveling experience have you like gone through so far, and where would you like to go in the future?
So far I've only been to I went to Vietnam, but that was the last time I've been was around when I was 8. So it's really long. I don't really remember much. And
Mm-hmm.
then I've been to like Maryland to go see like Harvey and graduate and stuff. But other than that, I haven't really traveled outside of California. Like I haven't even been to like Hawaii. And I really, really want to go to Hawaii. I really want to plan like a friend's trip or something or like a trip with my family. But yeah, that's where I really want to go. I really want to visit Paris. Because taking French in high school, I always like learned about the culture, and I would love to go and like experience it like firsthand. And then I would love to go back to Vietnam because I would love to see like my family members. I feel like if they see me, they wouldn't recognize me, so I would love to like see them and get the chance to meet them again. And then I would love to go to Japan and
Mm-hmm.
Korea. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And as of now, what are your current goals and aspirations in life?
My current goal at the moment is to graduate. Like my short-term goal is to graduate graphic design and get a job somewhere. I don't really know what kind of job just yet. But and
Mm-hmm.
then another short-term goal is to just grow my community on Twitch just because I feel like that's every like streamer's like short-term goal. And then long-term goal is to hopefully hit partner, hopefully. And then to either work at a gaming organization or a big like tech company.
Nice. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right. From here on, at least for this topic, we're gonna get into more like heavier topics. So it is up to you again to say what you want to say.
Okay.
All right. So talk about relationships and heartbreak, if there's any, from the beginning, just like how you explained your work experience. So like, how'd you meet? What went down? And how did it lead to where you're at today?
So relationships growing up, I would never had like a good time with them. I was always like very unlucky. I was always kind of like that girl that um would be left for like another girl. So I started dating around a lot in middle school. I don't really count this as like actual relationships because it's like middle school. We were all like super duper young. So um in middle school, I had like my first ever like boyfriend, and he's like a nice guy and all, but he actually ended up breaking up with. No, actually, no. Oh, it's so long ago. I'm trying to remember. Okay. Yeah, he actually broke up with me to be with somebody else, and he actually ended up liking my best friend
Mm-hmm.
at the time, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it's not it. And then all the guys after that, it was kind of like the same thing where like they would ask me out and we would go out, and then they would end up leaving for like another girl, or like they would like another girl while we were dating, but they like wouldn't tell me. So we would kind of still like be together, and then I would find out, and then everyone's just kind of like, "Oh, you do realize like he likes like someone else, right?" And I was just kind of like, "Oh, okay." And then it stopped for a little bit when that whole like thing with like the rumors and everything was going on. I kind of just like laid low for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then freshman year, I had a thing with this guy, and he was like in a relationship, but then I knew that, so I kind of like backed off, and I was like, okay, like whatever, like I still like you, but like you're in a relationship, so I'm gonna back off. And then I he ended up he told me that they were on a break, but then so then we ended up like hanging out, and then yeah, he slept over at like my house, and we like hung out and stuff, and like stuff happened, and then I wake up the next day and he like left, and I was like, okay. And then went to school, and then my best friend comes up to me and she's just like, what is this I'm hearing about like him like cheating on his current girlfriend like with you? And I was like, what? And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, what is what? And then I like talked to him, and he was like, oh, we were never like on a break. And I was like, but you told me that you guys were on a break. So after that, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And then I laid low again. And then I met this guy in summer that I was like, oh, like you're really cool. And he was like a year older than me. And then we were in like the dating talking stage, kind of like the awkward stage of getting to know each other. And it was in summer. And we ended up he ended up asking me out, and I was like, yeah, of course. You know, like I like you, you like me, like why not? And then um when we got back into school, because it was like in summer, and we got back into school, it was like my sophomore year, and it was like the beginning of my sophomore year, and one of his best friends was in my bio class, my like regular bio class, and she told me like a couple weeks after, she was like, oh, you do like I didn't want to be the one to tell you this, but you're like Harvey's cousin, so I feel like I have to tell you because they were in the same grade. And she was like really like she was like friends with Harvey. She was like, oh, I feel like I have to tell you. And um she told me that he was like talking to somebody else. And I was like, "Oh, thanks for telling me that." So I said thanks. I was like, "Thanks for telling me, like, at least you're being honest with me." And
Mhm.
then I honestly, like, didn't know how to tell him about anything because I was only a sophomore, so I was like, I don't know how to, like, approach anybody with this kind of situation. So then I ended up just kind of, like, keeping it to myself for a day or 2, and then he comes up to me, he, like, pulls me aside one day, like, during lunch, and he's like, "Oh, I need to like, we need to break up." And I kinda already saw it coming, so I wasn't really hurt. I was kinda like, "Oh, like, why?" Like, I wanna know why. And then he was like, "I just don't think it's working out." And I was just like, "Oh, is it because of, like, so and so?" And then he was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "I know, like, I've been knowing, like, people have told me." And I started noticing them hanging out after she told me. And then he was what are you talking about?" And I was like, "Don't act stupid." And so he he was just like standing there and he was like trying to cover for himself, but I was kind of just like, you know what, it's okay. Like I already cried about it enough. Like I'm not gonna cry about it now. And you could just go, I'm gonna go to class. Like you deal with whatever you gotta deal with. And then yeah. And then afterwards, it hit a couple days afterwards that I was like, oh shit, like he left me like for another girl. And it happened again because after middle school, I was kind of like, I'm not gonna let it happen because I knew, like, my own worth, and I was like, "I don't want another guy leaving me for, like, another girl," and it sucked that that kept happening, but honestly, I was like, "You know what? Like, maybe this is just a part of life. Maybe this is my process."
Mhm.
So I kind of just, like, picked myself back up, and I was like, "It's gonna be okay, like, you're gonna be fine." And then, I wasn't really, like, dating around or anything. I kinda was just like, "You know what? Like, if I like somebody, like, it'll happen, you know?" And then met oh, I already knew this guy. This guy, funny story is that we actually dated back in 6th grade. We went to the same elementary school, okay?
Mhm.
Um, the reason I don't count him as, like, an actual boyfriend is because we never really, like, established we were, like, a couple. We were just kinda like 2 kids that liked each other. So we did have a a thing back in 6th grade, and I guess you could call it dating because, you know, like, we did say we dated for, like, a year, and then we broke up because, his friend told me that he danced with another girl at a dance, and I got mad, so I broke up with him.
Mhm. Mhm.
Very childish, so I
Valid
broke
at
up
the
with him.
time. Yeah.
So he told me, and I was like, "I'm done, like, whatever, it's fine." And then we met again my halfway through, like, sophomore year because we were in ROTC together, and we were doing, like, drill teams together, so I talked to him a lot, and that kind of, like, spark kinda, like, rekindled, and I told my best friend, I was like, "Oh my god, like, I think I like him again, like, what do I do?" And then she was like, "Just go for it, you know, like, you've known him for a while, and he's not, like, a new guy that's gonna, like, break your heart, like, you've known him, he's a sweet guy, like, it's okay, like, just go for it, you know?" So we started hanging out, and then he asked me out, and then we dated literally all of high school. He was actually the ex that I moved in with my college year,
Mhm.
when I moved out for college. So it's very cool, you know, like very good guy, like very sweet guy. If I had to say from the besides the from wait, other than the relationship that I have now, if I had to choose like a really good relationship, it would be that relationship because he was definitely like a huge part of me growing, and his friends, same thing, huge part of me growing. So it was just like it was really good, and but then we ended up not working out, in college, and then, it was definitely, like, really heartbreaking for me because that was, like, 3 years of me being with this guy, and it was a really good relationship, it just didn't work out at the end, and then, I actually started dating this other guy. I know, it seems like a lot, but it's not that much, trust me, it's not that much. But
Mhm.
I started dating this other guy before Justin, which is the guy that I'm dating now, and I think this was kind of, like, on me, where it was, like, I just felt lonely, so I started dating, um, like, this guy, and, he was, like, nice and all, but I did notice a lot of red flags that I never just really took into consideration.
In college,
I
you're talking about? Like, you met him from
Yeah.
college?
Yeah, yeah, I met him in college. He was
Okay.
actually, like, one of my coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of red flags that my friends were noticing that I noticed too, but I never really like took into consideration like, oh, this is maybe someone that I shouldn't be with. And it was just a lot of like him not treating me right or not him valuing like me being there. And it ended up with me meeting Justin. I met Justin at a rave and then I met him at Crush SF.
Whoa.
And I was still with this guy when I met Justin.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like at this time I kind of already established like this relationship that I'm in right now, like I could really fight to make it work, but right now it's really hard to fight because I felt like I was the only one fighting. And so I would like talk to Justin about it and be like, "Oh, like I don't know, like he's not like really making me happy." And then Justin asked me about like my relationship and he would always ask me like, "Oh, like are you happy?" And I would always answer like I would always like take a little bit of time to answer and he would be like, "Oh, like you don't um like you shouldn't have to think about that question for so long." And I was like, "Oh, that's true." So then I ended up breaking up with this guy and he was very mean. He sent me like a whole paragraph or paragraphs on Discord. First red flag, he sent it to me on Discord. Yeah. And he was calling me like all these names and he was like, "Oh, of course." And I was hanging out with Justin more and he could like see that.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, "Of course, like you would start hanging out with this guy like after like you lost feelings to me, like blah blah blah. Like that's just the type of person you are." And I was like, "What? Like that's not even like what happened. Like Justin's just here. Like he was literally just like my friend at the time." Um and he was there for me when like my ex wasn't. So then my ex was just like really upset and he sent me like paragraphs on paragraphs on Discord and I have screenshots just in case he wants to come out and say he did not because he deleted all of it. He literally this is before I knew how Discord worked. I did not. I showed my friends and they were like he made a whole separate like text channel to talk to you and it was only that you can see it. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, really?" And they were like, "Yeah." And then he deleted it. He deleted everything, but I was just like, "Oh, I have the screenshots though." And then so I'm not the type of person to keep that kind of stuff, but the stuff that he said was very like very triggering.
Yeah.
Um I think like the one thing that stuck with me, like what he said was that I would like wish death upon you, but even then, like death is like even too good for you. And that was like the one thing that stuck with me because I was like, that is very toxic and that is very triggering.
Yeah.
Um, so I realized that that's not the guy for me. And then Justin came along. He's like my little angel. We actually talked for a little bit before we started dating. And I think like the reason why I fell for Justin so fast is because I do have a type and I always go for personality and I feel like Justin's personality was like perfect. And he like when we would FaceTime each other and it would just be like an automatic click. And I don't know, like he just makes me really happy. And I think like when I date someone, I try to see like a future with them. And I think like with my ex, like the one that was really like mean, I saw a future, but I did not see me fighting for it at the moment. Just because I just didn't think it was worth it. And then with Justin, I like see him and I'm just kind of like, oh, like I really do see a future with you. And it's like I don't have to fight for it because it's just coming. Like it's just happening.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Awesome. Wait, so when was this when you got with Justin?
I got with Justin in August of 2021. Right? It's been too long. Hold on. Oh my god, Justin's gonna hate me. He's
Okay,
gonna be like, wait.
I wasn't trying to test you. I was just
20,
curious.
2020. I'm sorry. Oh my god. 20,
Okay,
20.
got it.
I literally had to type in my passcode because that's my passcode. I'm sorry. 2020. I'm I'm sorry. Oh my god. No, 2020. 2020. 2020.
Okay, so you actually touched on a topic or a question I was going to ask you about your type. So, what other red flags have you kind of dealt with or encountered in general?
I think honestly with my relationships, the biggest red flag that I've encountered was not paying attention to me when we were hanging out. Because I feel like when we weren't together, the attention was there. Like we were texting, we were FaceTiming, all that stuff. But when we were together, it was um it was like they didn't pay attention to me. They were always on their phone. Especially I saw it mainly with my last ex.
Mhm.
I would sleep over a lot because like I told you earlier, like I'm really needy. Like I like to sleep over and everything. But when I would sleep over at his house, it would always be like he's always playing video games. He's always talking to his friends. And it just felt like when I was there, it didn't matter. Like my time didn't matter. Like I could have been at home like doing something else. I could have been like cleaning my room or something. And he just didn't really like pay attention to me. And whenever that's why like I always say like I would not play League, and it's because anytime that I was at his house, he was always like always playing League, and I understood that um that League takes like 40 like 45 minutes a game, kind of like Valorant. Like I understand the games take long,
Mhm.
but he would play for hours and hours and hours, and then I would just end up falling asleep. And I think like that would be like the shittiest way to wake up is knowing that like I fell asleep while he was playing League and he didn't even care to like um didn't even care to like check up on me or anything like that.
Mhm.
So that was a red flag. And then another red flag that I encountered with him was he would not introduce me to his friends. Uh he was 4 years older than I was, so he was definitely a lot older. But I don't think that's any excuse to not introduce someone to your friends. And you know, like I'm the type of girlfriend where like I'll troll you in front of your friends. Like I will go on your computer and I will like type something embarrassing, whether it's like penis or like I like balls or something. I will type that just for the hell of it, just for fun. And I figured that like his friends play games, so they encounter these kind of people like all the time, like trolls and stuff. So there was one time when he went to the bathroom and I
Mhm.
was I was his computer was open and I was like, oh my god, this is like the good time to just like troll him really quickly. And his friends were online and stuff. So I typed in his Discord in general chat, I said, I like balls, right?
Mhm.
And he gets out of the bathroom and he runs, he literally sprints his ass over to me and he's like, what did you do? Like, what did you type? And I was like, I put that I like balls. And I pointed to it. And I was like laughing because I thought it was funny. And his friends like thought it was funny. They typed like WTF and they did like a little laughing face. They're like, oh my god, like Ryan, like what the fuck? And then oh that's my ex's name by the way, it is Ryan. Uh but yeah, they were like, what the fuck? And then
Mhm.
like he got upset, he got so mad at me. And I was like, wait, I was like, oh my god, okay. And then he deleted it and he was so upset. And he was like, oh my god, like you shouldn't have done that. Like that's so stupid. Um, like that's so childish. Like why would you do that? And then we kind of got into this argument of like him not introducing me to his friends. And I told him like I just want to know your friends. Like these are people that you talk to hours on end, like every single night. And I just want to know who you're talking to. Like I just want to get to know them. Like they're your friends. You know my friends. I feel like I should know yours. And um yeah, so he ended up telling me that like the reason I don't introduce you to my friends is because you're childish. Like I don't want them to think that you're childish. And I was like, I mean, fair enough, but I mean like I'm your girlfriend. Like you shouldn't be like embarrassed
Yeah,
of me or
doesn't
anything like
justify
that.
it. Mhm.
Exactly. So we got into an argument about that and I told my friends about that and they were just like, no, like that is not okay. Like you need to leave this guy. But I gave him like the benefit of the doubt and I gave him like a second chance and yeah, that should have been like the last straw, but yeah.
Mhm. More red flags. Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Aside from red flags, what general dating advice would you give based on your own personal experiences?
Get to know the person first. It's okay to date. I feel like a lot of relationships nowadays, you kind of just jump straight into like being titled as like boyfriend and girlfriend.
Mhm.
But it's totally okay to have like that talking stage, but instead of just like talking to each other and like texting each other back and forth, I think you should definitely try to take them out on dates. just because I think like you'll get to see like that person's habits, see like kind of how they act in person, because the way that they act over the phone is definitely different than how they act in person. So I think like going on dates is always a good idea, and plus it's always like nice, very cute, make some memories. um I always like to suggest having that like 3 date minimum before you kind of like give the title, just because like I think 3 dates is enough time to kind of figure out like if you really like this person and if you would really like to move on. So that's my number one advice. Second advice is just to stay open, because even though you have a type, you never know who could come along and kind of like switch you off your feet, you know? So
Hmm.
yeah, be open and go on dates. You know, it's okay to be in that talking stage.
All right, appreciate the advice.
Mhm.
So, aside from talking about relationships and heartbreaks, switching over to mental health, how would you say you're doing as of right now?
As of right now, I like to say I'm doing okay,
Hmm.
but that's like, you know.
Yeah.
I'm definitely struggling a little bit mentally, just because there has been a couple of things that's happened in the past like 2 weeks that have been like super duper draining.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, there were things that were happening in like ever since I have like moved out that have just been like super duper draining. Like living on your own is definitely like super tough.
Hmm.
Uh and definitely mentally draining, just because like when you're alone, not alone, but when you're kind of like living on your own, you kind of have to deal with things a lot faster, instead of having like your parents do it for you. That you
Yeah.
kind of have to figure it out yourself. So then it's definitely draining. And then on top of that, with just like being in college in general, I think is always like mentally draining on everybody, because you
Hmm.
kind of have to like hurry up and figure out what you want to do. So yeah, I think as of right now, I'm like okay at times, but there are times when, a lot of times when I'm just kind of like, oh man, I want to crawl, I want to go into a corner and cry because that's all I feel like doing right now.
Yeah. So, a lot of that is what's like on your mind as of recent, like just living
Mhm.
alone and dealing with like daily stresses of that.
Yeah, and there has
Mhm.
been a couple social things that have happened in terms of like I guess like friends and stuff
I
that have
see.
been happening, that it's just been like super duper tough, because I feel like once you get comfortable on something, and then within that like comfortable space and within that like safe space,
Hmm.
something like happens and like switches it up, and you're kind of forced to like quickly change and like adapt and just kind of like make some decisions. You're just kind of like, oh man, like this is weird, you know, like this is weird. And it definitely takes a toll, because you're just kind of like, man, like I thought this was like my safe space, like my comfortable space, and it just kind of like broke
Yeah.
apart.
It's
Yeah,
like panic mode. Got it.
exactly. Yeah, it's like
Hmm.
flight or flight. I'm definitely in that flight mode where I'm like, I just want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever you feel like you're at your lowest points,
Mhm.
what do you do to pick yourself up? And speaking on that, what advice would you give to others who may be feeling like just really down?
So I cry.
Hmm.
I cry, and then I tend to laugh about the situation, because I think with my family, we've learned to kind of just laugh about things when times get tough. So I've kind of picked up on it. So whenever I'm like feel at my lowest, I kind of laugh at myself, and I'm just like, damn, Jess, like you're a fucking mess. Like, holy shit, you're 21 and you're a mess. I laugh about it and then I cry, because then I realize that it's true. And then I cry and I cry. And then I vent to my friends. And then I vent to Justin about it. Justin definitely gets like the shit end of the stick when I'm at my lowest, because I I literally like pour everything onto him. I'm just like crying all the time and saying that I'm like a mess, that I suck, and then he like tries to pick me up, but he definitely helps like a lot. And then I would say like if I had to give any advice to anybody who's at like their lowest point right now, is
Hmm.
it's very cliche, but it always does get better. I in my life, I feel like I have been through multiple points of where I feel like it was like my quote unquote lowest, and I always felt like it would never get better, but it does always get better. No matter how long it takes, you will get there, and I feel like you just kind of have to take things like one step at a time. Because one thing that I learned about being at my lowest, when like so many times is that like I always try to tackle things like everything at once. Like if I'm at my lowest, it's not because of one thing, it's because of multiple things. And then I try to tackle all of those things at once.
Mm-hmm.
And it just does not like end up working out. It just ends up being like way too much on my plate. So I've learned to prioritize things that are just more important, that are more like I guess like time sensitive. And I take care of those first. And then I feel like as you complete one thing, you get motivation to finish the next thing because you're just kind of like, oh, okay, like I finished this one thing, I can do the next. And so I think that's like my biggest advice is like take things one step at a time and don't forget that like it does get better.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm,
Nice, love that. Thank you.
mhm.
Okay, so how has COVID affected you personally?
So COVID, I haven't gotten COVID, thank goodness. Like the amount of times that I've been out and like with raves and stuff and with work.
Mm-hmm.
I work in like a pretty public place, so I'm really excited. I'm really happy that I haven't gotten like COVID yet. My roommates have gotten COVID though. So those two are the like closest people that I have that have gotten COVID. Luckily none of my family members have had COVID, and not that I know of at least. And then yeah, but I would say like it's only affected me personally by like kind of just like restricting me on like things that I could do. But honestly, like I don't really mind. Like I understand. But yeah, that's I didn't really honestly like I'm really like grateful to say that it hasn't really affected me that much personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think like the closest it's gotten is like my roommates. So
Yeah.
yeah, and hopefully it stays that way because I'm really sad if I did get it this late.
Uh-huh. Okay, awesome. So before we get into the third portion of the podcast, do you need a break now or are you still good?
I'm good. I'm telling you, I could talk for days.
Okay. Sounds good, no worries. All right, so we talked about your social life aspects. We're gonna get into the social media world now, okay?
Okay.
So aside from Twitch, what platforms are you currently active on, and what are your thoughts about each of those platforms?
So I'm currently active on TikTok. I'm trying to be more active on TikTok. I think I go through phases of being active and then not being active. I'm trying to be more consistent. Oh, that's the one thing. I'm very inconsistent with my TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think like I get uninspired and I want to focus so much on like making new content and like things that people haven't seen before. So I get whenever I do something that's really similar to someone else's, I'm just like, oh, should I post it? I don't know, because I don't want people to feel like I'm copying them or anything like that. So I always get very hesitant. So that's when I fall into like my phase of like not being active.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of just trying to work on like if you have content, just put it out. It's okay. And then I'm active on Twitter, but I'm only active on Twitter a lot because it's my personal Twitter. My TikTok kind of became like my streaming TikTok, even though it used to be like my personal TikTok, but now it's like my streaming TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then my Twitter is like my personal Twitter, so I mix it between like personal stuff and streaming stuff. Twitch, my streaming stuff has definitely taken over my Twitter, but there's like a couple sprinkles of like personal things in there. Um, I would say I'm more active on Twitter because of Astra, which is the team that I'm in. Uh, they're like on like 24/7. Like I get spammed by DMs all the time, which I love. I'm not complaining. I love it. It like forces me to be active on like Twitter. I love Twitter and I love TikTok. I don't really have any like bad things to say about both. I try to be active on Instagram as well, but that's like my personal Instagram, so you don't see a lot of like Twitch content on there unless I post like on my story that I'm streaming. I think my Instagram is more for like my raving side because I post a lot more of like my rave pictures on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and then I post it sometimes on Twitter, and then I post it sometimes on TikTok. Like I have a couple rave TikToks, but it's definitely not a TikTok content thing that I like prioritize at all.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so those are the other socials. We're gonna get into the big one, Twitch.
Yay!
So, how did you hear about Twitch and what made you decide to stream? Like, get started?
So I actually heard of Twitch. I heard of Twitch a long time ago. I think my cousins used to watch streamers, and I would like see them watching them. And then I never really like looked into it. I was always more of like a YouTube girl. Like I always watched like beauty gurus and stuff. And then if I were to watch any gameplay, I would watch YouTube gameplays. And the gamer that I watched the most was I has Cupquake. I love her. I love her so much. She's gonna be a mom soon, so it's like it's really cool. She played a lot of like Minecraft and Sims. So I think that's why like in high school I played a lot of Minecraft and Sims because I watched her so much. So I fell into like her aesthetic and everything. But I love her. I love her so I still watch her till this day. She's amazing. And I started Twitch because I when I got my PC and I was like, you know what, like I kind of want to start streaming. And then Justin was like, oh, you should stream on Twitch. And I was like, oh, like I could, but I'm very shy. I'm very shy, like put myself out there. I always wanted to be like a content creator, but I never really like followed through with it because I was always like super duper shy. When I was in high school, I used to play like Minecraft and Sims on my laptop because I didn't have like a setup. I had a laptop and I would play on there, and then I would have like my phone kind of like leaning against the laptop screen, and I would like record myself, or I would have like a voice memo on, and I would kind of act like as if I was quote unquote streaming, and I was kind of like narrating like everything I was doing, especially in Minecraft. Oh my god, I was narrating every single thing, and I would love it, and then I would delete it because I would never post it just because like I was always just so shy. And
Mm.
then I told that to Justin, and Justin was like, "No, you should definitely stream. Like you should just try it out. Like what are you gonna lose? You know, if it doesn't work out for you, like you could just stop and like it's okay. You know, you tried." And then so I started, and it was really cool because I kind of had like all the equipment for it already because I had my PC. I didn't have a webcam, but since I wanted to be that content creator when I was little, like in high school, my parents actually invested in a camera for me. So I had a DSLR that I kind of just like brought everywhere with me. I never like really used it, but I did have it laying around, and my friends were like, "Oh, you can use that as a webcam," and I was like, "Oh, okay, well." Why not? All I have to do is buy like a $17 wire and then connected to my camera. I mean, connected to my PC, and there you go. I have a webcam. And then, so I started doing that, and then I started buying more equipment, and it was like really cool. So yeah, I kind of learned more through Twitch to like my friends.
Yeah.
hmm
Awesome. And how did
hmm
you come up with your username?
My username, it was actually from wrestling. My friends used to call me jessicuurrz on the mat, and then I was actually looking for a new Instagram name. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I need a new Instagram name. And then they would call me jessicuurrz on the map. And I'm just like, on the mat. And I would be like, okay, I'm going to use that. So I started using it as my Instagram handle when I was in high school. And then it just kind of carried on to being jessicuurrz, like, into everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, people always think, I feel like people always think it's like, because of my last name, they're like, oh, is your last name like Cruz, like Jessica Cruz? And I'm like, no, it's not Cruz. It's not. It's just Curz.
Got it. The origin story of
Yeah.
the name.
hmm
So how did you come up with your community as the Ducklings?
Um, so I actually didn't have ducklings as my initial like streaming community. I didn't really know what, because I definitely did want to call them something, just
Mm-hmm.
because like, I feel like it creates like a connection, like even a deeper connection. I just didn't know what to call my viewers just yet.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what I got first. I think. Oh, okay. I do remember. Okay, it was my emote. It was the emote with the duck with the knife. You know what I mean? That meme. So I saw that meme on I saw that emote on Etsy when I was first like looking around for emotes, and I saw that meme and I was like, no, when I stream, like I want this to be one of my emotes. So then I put it in my cart for such a long time, and then after I started streaming, I like bought it and I put it onto my stream, and I think one of my mods, KB, he's like one of my like day ones. He would always use the emote, and he was like, "Oh my god, they're like evil duckies, like because they have like a knife." And then I was like, "Wait, evil duckies? And if you guys use the emote, well, that would make you guys the ducklings." So then I called my viewers the ducklings, and then my mods are actually the evil duckies because they have the sword next to their name, so it kind
Mm-hmm.
of signifies like the knife. So if you look at my Discord, like it's like the evil duckies, like my mods, the regular ducklings are like my subs, and then my eggs are my viewers that haven't hatched into a sub just yet. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's how I came up with ducklings. It was because like KB wasn't a mod at the time, but then he was like, "Oh my god, it's like evil duckies," and then yeah, we kind of just stuck with the ducklings since then.
Dang, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cute. I love
Mhm.
back to it, and I was like, "Oh, it warms my heart."
So speaking of day ones, talk about the other day ones when you started streaming.
Mhm. So I would say it's my friends, of course. You know, like they've definitely been my day ones. They've been my number one supporters. Majority of them, if they don't have a founder's badge, they have. Do you still have a founder's badge if you have a mod next to your name? I don't remember. But if they don't, if that replaces the founder's badge, then it's
I don't
because
even know.
they're a mod. So yeah. And then my other day ones, honorable mentions. Maybe Vegemite. Vegemite actually just became a mod recently, and then Easily has been there. Um, for a long time. Peanuts is actually the one that made my Discord because I am such like a tech noob, not tech savvy at all. He made my Discord and he lives like all the way across the world. And he made my Discord because I had no idea how to um how to do it. So he like made the Discord, he gave ownership to me. And then that was kind of how like the Ducklings Nest happened.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're like my day ones.
Nice. Okay. And as of now, what categories are you streaming and what's your current schedule?
So the categories that I stream in are Valorant and then just chatting. I used to do Minecraft, but then I kind of stopped it because I just wasn't really having fun with Minecraft anymore,
Huh?
which is really unfortunate because I did play it so much when I was in high school. I think I just fell out of it because on stream I just never really knew like what to do. Like I liked building stuff, but I never really liked the grind to build stuff. Like mining and everything, don't like that.
Mhm.
I used to just hop on like creative and like start building stuff, but then it was just like getting boring for me, so I stopped. And then Valorant, the reason why I like streaming Valorant so much is because it's always like something new. Even though it's like the same thing for every single game, it's like different things could happen every single game. So that's what I like. That's what I like about Valorant. And then just chatting, I want to do more of, but then I get very like I get very shy and I'm just like, oh okay, I don't really know what to talk about now, guys.
Okay.
So I definitely want to do more just chatting just because I feel like you can get to know your viewers a lot more, and that's
Mhm.
definitely like what I want to do because I feel like when I'm playing Val, I try my best to talk, to chat, while I'm playing, but there are times when I'm just like, okay, I need to focus up because we're losing. And then I miss like messages sometimes and I don't
Yeah.
like want them to leave. So I'm just like, oh, this is so hard. Um so so yeah, I'm trying to do more just chatting. And then my
Gotcha.
current stream schedule is that so my schedule has been a total mess. All right, so I'm
Mhm.
supposed to start at 9 p.m. Monday through Wednesday. It used to be every day and then it changed to Monday, Friday, and now it used to be Monday, Thursday, and now it's Monday, Wednesday because I have like things to do over the weekend and Thursday. So it's supposed to start at 9 p.m. Monday through Wednesday, but I am always late. I can't remember the last time that I have been on time for stream. My viewers know they're always like, oh my god, like she's late, or like, oh my god, Jess is on time today, or like, wow, she's early. Like what? Um, so it's supposed to be 9 p.m. But I think on my about panel it says like 10 because I was like, I'm gonna say 10 so that I give myself more time to start. And if I start early, I start early. And then, but as of lately, I've kind of just been on this stream schedule of like, if I feel like streaming, I'm gonna stream.
Yeah.
Because I did fall into this like rut of feeling like I was getting onto stream just to stream and not to actually be there for content. And that like hurt so bad because I was like, I love talking to everybody, but I also want to play games with my friends because I love like playing games with my friends. It's like a stress reliever.
Mhm.
So when I don't get to talk to them as much during stream, and I don't really get to talk to them after stream as well because I'm so tired. Um, it like my stress like builds up, and then it was just kind of it got up to a point where I was like, okay, I need time off just a little bit,
Mhm.
and then I kind of just need to stream like when I want to stream. That way, I get back into like the passion of it because I did fall out of it for a while. So I'm trying to get back into it. When I streamed yesterday, it was fun. It was like my first time back in like a week, and yeah, it was great. I was always nervous that everyone would leave, but like everyone was still there, and I was like, oh, you guys are still here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, so what is you mentioned you want to like hit partnership and you want to grow, right? What other goals do you have specifically for streaming and Twitch?
So for streaming, I would hope to be a part of an organization
Mm-hmm.
as like a content creator. As a pro player, I don't know yet. If I could somehow get to that level, that would be really cool. And establish like kind of a more women's esport category, just because I know it's like with VCT, it's like a lot of like male teams, and I would love to see more women teams come out and have a thing like VCT and have it be as big as they were and be able to go to places that they go in order to compete. Just because I feel like that'd be super duper cool, because in that way like girls who are like young could see these other women who are like playing video games, and they know that if they like playing video games they can make it in the future. So I would love that. Definitely a good, that's like one of my goals. It's not my biggest goal because it's kind of like unrealistic for me just because I'm not at the level of like a pro. But if I could establish like a women's org, that would be really cool too.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I think like establishing my own org would be like my biggest goal. It doesn't have to be like an all women's org. I would definitely want it to be prioritized to women, but like having it be co-ed is also like super duper cool. Just like a gaming org in general that would have like pro teams. I think that would be like super duper cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Speaking of teams, so talk about how you got into Astra Sect and what it means to you.
So for Astra Sect, I actually was following them for a little bit when before Plasify, he's like one of the recruiters. He reached out to me and he was like, he literally he literally talked to me and he was like, he messaged me on or DM'd me on Twitter and he was like, "Hey Jess," and I was like, "Hello," and he was like, "How does Astra Jess sound?" And I was like, "Oh, it sounds really cool. Why?" And then he was like, "Cause you know, like we would love to have you like on our team." And I was like, "Wait, that would be really cool." So I accepted it. And ever since then, I've met so many cool people out of Astra, and I see a lot of like other streamers that I know that are getting into Astra, like Matt just got into Astra, Soju has been in Astra, Bagels, you know, like everyone's like super duper cool.
Mm-hmm.
So just seeing them like grow their community is awesome. And even though like there are other teams out there that I could try to go for, I think I'm pretty solid with Astra right now just because they're mainly a Fortnite team, or they're mainly known for like Fortnite. Um, but if I had the opportunity to, or if they had the opportunity to, I would love to see them grow into Valorant, because I feel like Valorant is definitely taking over a little bit. So I would love to see them work on that. And I think so far I've seen them do it, and just seeing them slowly step foot into Valorant is like super duper cool. And just being a part of like something that's like that does have a name out there, but it's still considered like small, and seeing it grow slowly is just like super duper cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it just means like so much, because it's like they saw potential in me, and now it's like my turn to show that like I see potential in them, because they're like growing as well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's Astra Sect.
Hmm.
So, does your family know that you stream? And if so, what are their thoughts or were their thoughts?
So my cousins know that I stream, because my cousins like Nyat plays a lot of games,
Yeah.
so he knows that I stream, and then Harvey and Tiff just know that I stream because I tell them about it. I don't know if any of my other family members know. My parents don't know. I haven't told them that I stream. They kind of just see like deposits of money, and they're just kind of like, what? Okay. I just tell them it's on my job and that it's like from tip or something, and they're just like, okay. But the reason why I don't tell them that I stream is because it's not that I'm afraid that they're gonna be like ashamed or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't know how to tell them. Like they mainly speak Vietnamese. So I don't know, or they only like really speak Vietnamese. So I don't really know how to explain that I stream in Vietnamese. You know, like I don't really know yet. I want to be able to explain it to them in a way where it's like very clear, and it makes sense to them, because I don't want to like explain it to them and have them have all these questions and then I can't really answer it because I don't know how to say it in Vietnamese. So I kind of want to like establish how I'm going to say it first
Yeah.
and then tell them. So I haven't told them yet, but I do want to tell them. soon
Eventually,
because
yeah.
they're probably like, why do you keep getting money like every month? Like, what the heck? Where is this from?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, from your streaming experience, name or describe one of your favorite memories from the top of your head.
My favorite memory would be, there's so many. See, it's either I expose myself and I have people go find a very embarrassing clip of me, or I say something very sweet. Um,
Okay.
I'll just do both.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so my first favorite memory would be when I cosplayed as Squidward,
Squidward.
as like fancy Squidward. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I also cosplayed as Killjoy. You can look for that clip too, but a lot more people look for the Squidward clip. It was during my first, I think it was how long did I stream for? I don't remember. I think it was I streamed for like 6 hours. I don't know. It was like a long stream, and I was streaming, and I you know, dressed up as Squidward. I even had it was the fancy Squidward, so I had on like the bald cap and everything. Painted my face green. Fun fact: if you go into my chat and if you put exclamation point Squidward, the link to the clip will pop up. And funny thing is, I didn't even make that command. My
Mm-hmm.
mod did. My mod made that command. So that's one of my favorites because it was just like an iconic moment. I feel like I want to redo it someday because I want to make him look prettier. I'm like determined to do it, but I can't I haven't mustered up the confidence to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then my second favorite would be my subathon, just because it was my first ever subathon, and I feel like during that subathon I was really nervous at first because I wasn't sure if a lot of people were gonna like show out or anything, but a lot of people did. A lot of people hung out with me, and it was really cool, very memorable. I was up for super duper long. I wanted to cry, but it's okay. I think I capped it at did I cap it at I think I capped it at 24. I'm pretty sure I capped it at 24. But yeah, it was really cool.
Okay, so those are the memories.
Mhm.
So you've been streaming for over a year, right? So
Mhm.
a significant date, February 5th, 2021.
Mhm.
Talk about how you personally experienced your growth on the platform. Like, did you have to change things up, or what did you do to, like, gain traction, to meet new people, followers, etc.?
Okay, so to find like to see my or seeing my growth, I think
Mm-hmm.
I had to deal a lot with more interaction. Just because I'm sure you can already tell. I talk a lot, but I it only happens when I find that connection with somebody that
Mm-hmm.
I can like build that conversation off of. So to see my seeing my growth, I definitely grew more in like conversating more in terms of connecting with chat. And that's why whenever I give advice to other streamers, my biggest advice is to interact with chat, have that connection with your viewers. Just because that was one thing that I felt like I focused on the most when I was trying to grow my Twitch was to even if they came in and said hi, it was like I would have to continue the conversation without having that like initial connection with them. It would be like, oh, like, how are you? Or like, how's your day going? You're like, tell me what you did today. Did you do anything fun? Do you have plans for tomorrow? Or like, do you have plans for today? If it's like the beginning of the day for you. So it was like kind of making like that small talk. And in the beginning, when I first started streaming, I was very like awkward. I didn't know how to start those conversations naturally and have it flow, so it would kind of be like choppy, it would be like really awkward. And then I think like as I started streaming more, I kind of just learned like tips and tricks on how to make it flow a little bit more and how to like not be like so shy and just like really just to put myself out there. And then I think honestly, I don't think I've changed too much about my stream besides like the aesthetics. I've definitely changed the layout of my stream a lot. I am that streamer that if you come into my stream every week, you'll probably see something new on my stream every time because I just get so bored with the way that things look on my stream that I feel obligated to change it because I like want to change it to
Mm-hmm.
like just so it's appealing to the eye. So I feel like that's like the only thing that I've really changed about my stream. Otherwise, like I've kept everything pretty the same. I kept my personality 100% the same. I think if anything, I've just let it shown more. So if anyone ever feels like it changes, it's probably just because you see more of like my personality rather than me being like very shy and not really talking.
Yeah. So with you talking about your own growth, transition to talking about general advice you'd give to those who are trying to grow and for those who are trying to get started streaming.
Okay, so like I said, my number one advice was to always like interact with chat, just because without them you would not be doing what you're doing, and it's just like making friends. I feel like if you're streaming, it's like bound that you're gonna make friends. So why not like start interacting with people? Like make those connections, start those relationships. And another advice is to always stay 100% you. Just because I know into streaming, and since Twitch has gotten so big and everyone's starting to do it now,
Mm-hmm.
it's very easy to fall into a persona that you think would be the quote unquote like ideal streamer. But the ideal streamer is just like you being you, you know? And I think it's really easy to see what other people are doing and try to act like them, or say if you see like a really big streamer acting a certain way, I think it could be really easy to fall into like, oh, I'm gonna act like her so I can get more views. But I definitely think that you should just be 100% yourself and you'll be good to go. Like who you are, well, that will be your community, because that would be the people that you attract. Another advice is you don't need good equipment to start streaming. You could just literally have a basic webcam, hit start streaming, and just start building from there. And I think honestly, that's what a lot of people like to see, is when they see someone maybe not having the best equipment, going to someone who has like an amazing setup, amazing equipment. If you're blessed to have like really, really good equipment, and if you're blessed to have like that kind of access to like that kind of thing, go for it. Like go out there and buy like a camera. Like go for it. Do what you need. Do what you want to do. But if you're not like fortunate enough to go out there and get the best equipment, it's okay to have like a really, really cheap webcam and just start streaming. Like it's totally okay. It's all about you, and how you like present yourself is what is going to attract people to your stream. So just be you. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. You got to start somewhere.
All right, awesome advice.
Hmm.
Talk about the pros and cons of streaming.
So the pros are that you get to meet a lot of new people. You meet an amazing amount of people. Like I think I have not, like ever in my life, I've never met as many amazing people as I have since I started streaming. Everyone is just like very genuine, very like wholesome. It's just so great. So that's a pro. Another pro is that you do get to open an opportunity to be your own boss. And I think that's what a lot of jobs nowadays don't really offer, which is being your own boss. And you always kind of have to like work over somebody. But if you're like streaming, you're your own boss. You make your own schedule. You do everything yourself, unless you like hire other people to do it for you. So I think that's a pro. Another pro is that you get to make people smile. That's like my biggest pro of all time. Like I said earlier, like that's kind of the reason, like that is the reason why I stream. It's because like I love making like people smile. So a huge pro is having someone who like isn't having a good day come into your stream, and then you're able to make their day better, or you're able to like put a smile on their face or make them laugh, and I think that's like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But a con is that your mental, if you don't take care of your mental, it does go to shit sometimes. It's very mentally draining, just because even though you're not physically there talking to somebody, you are talking to a lot of people. And even though it's just a camera, whether it's like 5 people, 10 people, 100 people, it's a ton of people that you're talking to. Because even if you're talking to like 5 people in a room, it's a lot. So it's very mentally draining, socially draining. And I feel like at least for me, I feel like when I turn the camera off, or when I turn all my lights off, I kind of just sit there and I'm like, oh man, like that was a long time of talking. And I definitely do have to take a break sometimes. So that is a con. Another con is that since you are putting yourself out there, you're more vulnerable and more prone to have like trollers, or have people come in and kind of just like judge you for like what you do. But honestly, like if those people come in, fuck them. Like you're doing you. If you're doing you, that's all that matters. And even though like you're putting stuff out there and you're more prone to like haters and stuff, like if that's something that scares you, like please don't let it be something that scares you, because it does happen to a lot of people, and just, you know, like, you kind of just gotta power through it. But one day it's gonna be like you're gonna be flooded with all your viewers, and it's gonna be great. I think
Mhm.
there's more pros than cons for sure.
Thank you for explaining those.
Mhm.
Definitely want to talk more so about certain things. So,
Mhm.
regarding trolls and hate, have you ever personally dealt with them? And if so, how did you kind of respond or what happened?
So I haven't had somebody come into my chat for a while that came in with like hating intentions, or if they have, my mods always catch them first before I can even read the message.
Mm-hmm.
So before, when I didn't have like a lot of mods, or when my mods were literally just my friends, so they were all like kind of playing games with me, so they didn't really have the opportunity to catch them in time. But some people would come in and just say like really like trolly stuff. They would come in and say like, "Oh, like you're ugly," or like, you know, the typical guy who comes in like loses on a game. Because I usually like plug my Twitch at the end of like a Val game, just because like, you know, like why not? If I feel like doing it, why not? And then sometimes like they would come in and they would be like, "Oh, you're fat and ugly," or whatever, or like they would come in and be like, "Oh, are you single?" And if I say no, they would be like, "Oh, like fuck your boyfriend, like whatever, like we're here," and you know, like kind of just like trolling, trying to see if they can get me like ticked off.
Yeah.
I usually don't let that bother me too much, just because like going through what I went through in high school and like middle school, it was kind of just like I don't really take anything personally. So I kind of just like brush it off. I kind of laugh at them a little bit. If they come in and say like, "Oh, I'm fat and ugly," and if it's because like I plugged my Twitch at the end of a game, I'm just like, "Yeah, but I still won." You know, like you're the one that lost the game. Like I don't really care, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just laugh it off. Barely give them attention, because I'm sure that they're looking for a reaction, and the reaction that I will give them is a reaction that they probably didn't expect. And or if it's like they come in and they say like, "Oh, like are you single?" And if I say no and they say like, "Oh, F your boyfriend," I'm just like, don't say that. Like he's actually like a really nice person." You know, kind of just like trying to make the situation a little bit more funny, because I'm sure that's not the reaction that they were expecting. They're probably expecting me to be like, "Ban his ass, like get them out of here. Like I don't care about." No, I'm just like, "You're the one that lost, so I mean, if you could at least drop like a follow, that'd be like really cool." Kind of make it like more funny. And then that way, like, it's just kind of like, you know, like I'm trying to show them that I'm not, it's not, doesn't have to be like that, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can lose and still have a good time. Like it's okay. But sometimes if they do continue with being like really, really trolly, then my mods are a lot meaner than I am. I usually let it go and just let them like keep talking until I really like see it on my chat screen that it's just like overflowing. Then I'll ban them or like time them out. Usually my mods are the first to be like, "Oh, you're timed out," or like you're banned. So I'm a lot nicer than my mods. So it's not me that you have to be scared of like pissing off in my chat. It's my mods, because my mods will always catch them first.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will not hesitate to hit that ban button.
Gotta love our
But yeah.
mods.
No, for real.
All right. Another thing you talked about, which I think is also super important when it comes to streaming. So, more so on the mental aspect, right?
Yeah.
Can you get into more detail about how like you personally dealt with like maybe a mental burnout from streaming, or what thoughts could really affect your mental when it comes to it?
Yeah, so I honestly recently I have been affected mentally by streaming, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like last week. I was kind of going through that uh thing where it was like, "Oh, am I good enough? Am
Yeah.
I good enough to be here?" Because there's like a lot of people that I watch that are like amazing, and I'm just like, "Wow, like I feel like I'm not up there yet."
Mm-hmm.
But that was like my keyword, which was yet. And I feel like I still have a lot of work until, you know, I become better, but it's like I'm on my way there. But I do fall into that kind of pit where it's like I don't know what to do, or like I don't know what kind of content to bring, or I do fall into the the thought of like, "Oh, there's days where I don't want to stream because I just don't want to stream. Like I don't feel like I'm 100% there." And I never want to stream unless I'm like at least 90% there, because I feel like it's unfair to not only me, but it's unfair to my viewers if I go on and I'm only like 40% or I'm only like 50%, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like they're taking time out of their day to come hang out with me, and if I'm not there 100% or like 90%, then it's like, what's the point of being there? I'm just wasting their time. I'd rather like take the time and kind of like do a little bit of self-care, get myself back up to where like I want to be, and hop back on and give them the connection that they came for. And I do always like say like, oh, I won't be streaming today. I'm sorry. I do feel really bad. So it is mentally draining because it's like a constant fight of like, am I good enough? Or like, should I stream today if I'm not 100%? Like, should I put myself first and not
Hmm.
stream today? So it's like a constant fight. And I think you just kind of have to find that balance of like, of kind of choosing yourself sometimes because uh your viewers will always be there. And if your viewers are very supportive of you, they will always be there no matter what, just like a friend, because it's like you're all friends. And I'm sure like your friends IRL, if you had to take like a checkout one day, like a mental checkout one day, they would be there the next day or the next week. And that's like the same thing with your viewers. It's like they will be
Hmm.
there next week, they will be there next month. Like a lot of streamers take a hiatus. A lot of streamers take like a mental break because it's just like they have other things that are going on that they could be dealing with while they're streaming. So it's just like they need that break to figure themselves out. So it's kind of like a real relationship, like in person, like
Yeah.
friendships. So yeah.
Thank you for expressing your thoughts about mental when it comes to streaming. That's huge.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right.
I feel like it's
So,
not talked about enough sometimes.
yeah, I
Mhm.
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the streaming experience between a guy and a girl on Twitch? And what thoughts do you
Mm.
have in general?
So I have heard a lot of people say it's easier to be a girl streamer, which I do see that sometimes just because like I think it's just natural that more guys will click on girl streamers, but it's like it's not because like they think like they're cute or whatever, but it's not like their looks that are going to keep them there. Like yeah, the guy will be like, yeah, they're cute and stuff, but if their personality just isn't there, it's most likely that that guy will click out
Hmm.
and find somebody better to watch. And when people say that it's easier to be a girl streamer on Twitch, I personally like don't think so just because there's a lot of the top streamers, majority of them are male. So I don't think it's like easier to be a girl streamer. I think it's easier for girls to get the attention of new viewers. But it's not their looks that keep the guys coming back. It's like the personality, it's the content that they keep making.
Hmm.
Like a lot of people like to bring up like Sup Caitlyn. They're like, oh yeah, like it's her looks that keep the guys, and I'm just like, no, like I've watched her streams a couple times, and she's actually like a really good streamer. Like she talks to her chat a lot, she interacts with her viewers a lot, she gives opportunity for her viewers to like come onto her stream and like interact. So it's like she interacts a lot, and it's just a plus that she's like, she's a very good looking girl. I think she's a very good looking girl. So like she's doing a good job, and I feel like if somebody who is a guy who wants to stream that just wants to do good, you just have to keep up with their content, because it is all about like content
Hmm.
on Twitch. I feel like if you are cute and you're pretty or you're like very handsome or you're hot, it's like yeah, you can attract people to your stream, but it's not going to be your look that keeps them. It's going to be like your personality and content that keeps people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well said. Okay, last two when it comes to Twitch.
Mhm.
Talk about some of your experiences of having your own Twitch meetups
Oh, okay.
or future ones
So
too.
I have been able to meet um it wasn't necessarily like I planned it. It was more of like I hear that they're coming and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna try to find you. So I think the first person that I ever met off of Twitch was I think it was Dwin. I think Dwin would be the first one. But it was funny because I would always be in the same room as Dwin, and like we would never see each other. We were always at the same rave, never saw each other, and then we finally met each other at Elenium, which was great. She's adorable. I love her. I got to meet you, and then I got to meet Matt when Lou invited me because she was here, and she invited me to go get dessert. And then Matt was there. I've known Vinny way back when. And then yeah, and then I met like other streamers, really cool. I met Shinji. He did come to my work to bother me. No, I'm just kidding. No, if you want to come visit my work, like please feel free to. We're always like super slow, so please feel free to. His little brother is like the cutest thing ever. Um, and then I was able to meet Leo, which is he's one of my mods. I guess like that's like the only really like Twitch meetup that I'm like, okay, yes, I'm gonna meet you. So Leo, I'm gonna meet Leo, and it's like super amazing. He came from Washington. He's on like a little travel trip right now. I think he's in SoCal right now. And then what's it called? I plan on meeting Ming or Kev, who is another one of my mods this weekend, because he's coming from Colorado, and that's where he's from. He's on like a business trip, but he has like a couple days where he has off. So then we're gonna like hang out with him. We're gonna go like party with him and stuff. So that's really fun. And then if I were to do like an actual Twitch meetup, I would love to do it at like TwitchCon or something, because I feel like it's a little more convenient. But yeah.
Nice. Okay, those are the
Mhm.
meetups. So
Yeah.
no EDC for you this year.
Nah, I'm too broke.
Ah,
I'm broke. I have no money. I barely afford Beyond.
understandable. No worries. All right, last Twitch question.
Mhm.
So this is for the viewers, the audience. All right. How does it feel to be famous?
Huh? What?
How does it feel to be famous?
I'm not famous. What do you mean? If you mean like how does it feel to be known sometimes? It's very like I don't know. It's very like I don't know what to think. It's not overwhelming. It's like it's very what's the word? It's like hmm, I don't know. I guess it's like I guess when people come to my stream and they're like or when I go into other people's stream and they're like, "Oh my god, like it's jessicuurrz." I'm just like, "What?" Like, you know me? Like what? It's like super duper like oh my god, I don't know what the word. It's not satisfying. It's on my tip of my tongue. Well, if the word comes up, I will say it. But it's just very like it's like very scary because I'm just like, oh, how do you know me? Or like I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I get very shy, you know, like I get very anxious. I'm just like, oh my god. Like when I saw Shinji and Shinji was like, oh my god, is that the famous jessicuurrz? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, don't say that. um my friends like joke about it. They're like, oh my god, it's jessicuurrz. Like, what if someone like sees you on the street and they're like, oh my god, like it's jessicuurrz. She streams. I'm just like, I feel like I would run the other direction, and then I would run back and say sorry, because my fight or flight would come in and I would run away.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just like I don't know. I think it's surreal.
Yeah.
That's the word. It's very surreal because I never thought that I would ever be in like a position where I open an opportunity for me to be like known like that because of everything that happened when I was like younger, like in high school and stuff. I kind of wanted to like lay low and never really wanted to put myself out there again because of things that like could happen. But I kind of just said, fuck it. This is like what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, it's been like a really good experience. So it's been really surreal. But I'm not famous. I think you're the famous one.
What? You just turned it back on me? Can't
How
do
does
that.
it feel to be famous for you, Wilson?
All right, back to Jess's podcast. All right, love the reaction though, because everyone always has a reaction, and I just literally let people take it away with whatever they want to say. So it's cool. All right, let's talk a little bit about Valorant because that is something that you play and that we all know. So Valorant, favorite agent in the game and least favorite.
My favorite agent is my homegirl Killjoy. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
she's because not only she's my main, but I think she's not essential to every single comp, but I think she's just really cool. My least favorite agent is either Sova or um yeah, it'd be Sova. The reason why I don't know how to use Sova. I suck. I don't know how people do it. I think one time I tried to use Sova. I literally shot my dart to like the location dart or whatever. Don't know where it went.
Yeah, I feel that.
It went off the map. It was terrible.
Hmm.
And another reason why I hate Sova is that for some reason I always die to his ult. I never can escape his ult, like ever. He just like latches onto me. Like I hate it.
Yeah,
Oh, I hate Breach too.
reach.
Breach is annoying. He's annoying and ugly. I'm just like, can you
Oh,
pick a struggle? Like he is so. You cannot tell me when you look at Breach and you're like, wow, that's one fine man. Like you cannot tell me that. Cannot tell me that.
damn, you're
He's
going
so.
in.
He annoys me so much.
Okay. So, aside from personal bias or opinions, which agent do you think's the actual best in the game and the worst?
Actual best. I think right now, I think with the meta, I think the best agent would have to be. That's hard. Oh my gosh. Maybe Jet? Because as a I don't play her that much, but I feel like she fits in every comp. Um it's either like Jet or Sova, even though I say Sova is the worst agent in my opinion.
Mm.
That's just because I hate him, but I do think the meta revolved around Sova so much. Is he was like that agent that everybody just needed because he gives so much info compared to everybody else. And I feel like that's why they needed to make Fade because she challenges Sova. So I think like right now, Jet or Sova are the two best agents just because Jet fits into every comp. She's very fast and her plays are very unpredictable. You could do a lot of stuff with her. I don't know when she gets her nerf if that's still going to be the case, but I mean I feel like her nerf isn't really that bad anyways. But Sova, I think he's definitely going to be challenged when Fade comes out for sure.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that's the best.
I would say Jet and Sova, yeah,
Yeah.
just because they fit. I like when I think of best agent, I don't think in terms of like performance. I think of how adaptable they are and
Yeah.
how they fit into comp. And if it's like if you pick them, it's like they can fit into any person's like any team's comp. So I think it's like Jet and Sova.
And then the worst.
Phoenix. I'm not gonna lie. There's people who could play Phoenix and could pop off, but I think with the meta now, I just don't think he is up to um he's up to like the level. And even then in VCT, he was 0% pick rate compared to like Yobru. Even Yobru and Neon were picked over him. So I was like, oh man, my guy Phoenix need a buff over here because he had a 0% pick rate. So I would say Phoenix is the worst one right now. And plus, as a duelist, I think there's other duelists that do better. Even though Reina, she's a good duelist as well, but I do think she's also one of the duelist that is kind of like iffy because she mainly plays for herself and doesn't really do much for the team.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I think I was gonna either say Reina or like Phoenix, even though I love Reina, but I do think as of right now, I think Reina and Phoenix are like at the bottom for sure.
Okay, how about for guns? Which gun do you think's the best and worst?
I think the best gun is uh is the Marshall. Just kidding. No, it's only because I've only been getting better with the Marshall lately. I think the op is the best gun right now. Even though I like my Vandals, I like my Phantoms. Even though I can't use an op, I do think an op right now. If you were against an op, it's really hard to play against an op. You definitely know how to read people. You have to know what angles they play. You have to know where to smoke if they are opping, and you have to know how to peek together if you don't have smokes or if you don't have a person that knows how to smoke correctly or say you don't have good smoke that round.
Hmm.
You need to know how to peek as a team or peek as duos. So I think an op is the best gun right now. The worst gun right now I would say is maybe like the Stinger because long range isn't good. Because Spectre is good long range still, not as accurate, but it's good. But Stinger has definitely when it got nerfed, it definitely fell into
Mhm.
that like useless gun. Like I have never seen myself buying a Stinger as I absolutely need to. But yeah, Stinger.
Got it.
Mhm.
If you could only choose one, what's the best skin set?
Ooh, the Ion. I like the
Onset?
ion
Okay.
skin sets. Yeah, just because I like my singularity. I like my glitch pop, of course. And yeah, the reaver is good too, but I don't know, the ion just hits different. I don't know, I was shooting with the ion today and I swear to God, I was just shooting straight all the time. But it was it's I like my ion the most. Yeah, the
Mhm.
ion skins.
All right, and now rank your maps from favorite to least favorite.
Oh, this is hard. They've been changing a lot actually. So
Mhm.
my favorite map, I'll start with my least favorite.
Okay.
It is, wow, you know, actually this has been changing too. It was always between Fracture and Breeze, of course, but I would say my least favorite map right now is Bind.
Okay.
I don't know. I just cannot play Bind. I don't know what has been going on. Bind has just been really asked for me. And then I have been liking, so it goes Bind is the worst for me right now, and then Breeze because my aim long distance isn't that great. And then it goes Fracture. It used to be Fracture then Breeze. But then I think as of lately, I've been learning the angles a lot better for Fracture and learning like what agents I like on Fracture and how to play on Fracture because I always like avoided Fracture, but now I'm like, you know what, let's just play it. Fuck it, let's just do it.
Mhm.
So then I've been liking Fracture a lot better than Breeze. And then what is it, like Ascent and Split? Probably mm, Ascent and then Split. Split is like my favorite map.
There's also Icebox and
Oh,
Haven.
Icebox can go right in between Fracture and Breeze.
Okay.
Yeah, because I would put Icebox as my third map, but I don't know. Icebox has definitely been a toss-up map as of lately because it's just like the angles and everything. So I've been losing a lot of Icebox. But yeah, Bind can go straight last place because I think my win rate on Bind has been terrible lately.
Where does Haven go?
Oh, there's Haven. Uh, oh, Haven could be my third.
Okay.
So after Ascent, because I actually really like Haven. I like attacking.
Alrighty.
Mhm.
And to wrap things up with Valorant, what are your thoughts about this upcoming tourney and the previous one that you've been in?
I'm actually really excited for this upcoming tourney. I think just because like I like competing a lot. I think growing up doing sports and everything, being competitive has always been a part of like my like upbringing. So participating in like tournaments and stuff, I'm super duper excited in. And what else? Compared to the last tournament, I feel a little bit more prepared.
Mhm.
Because I think the last tournament was the first ever like Val tournament I've ever done. So I was very nervous because I
Mhm.
wasn't sure if I was gonna like perform or anything. And this tournament, I'm really excited. I love the team that I'm in. I think our name is amazing. If you thought Brim Booty Bangers was amazing, this next one is gonna be like even better. Um, but I think, yeah, I'm just really excited. I'm a lot less nervous for sure.
Awesome to hear. Good luck. Have
Yeah.
fun. That's like the whole
Thank
point of
you.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Now it comes down to some of my last few random questions. All right. From the top of your head, biggest pet peeve.
When people chew really loud.
Ooh, that's like
You know
the
what I
number
mean?
one that I've been getting throughout all these
Really?
podcasts. Yeah.
A lot of people still do it. I'm just kidding. I feel like that's like everybody's pet peeve, and I still hear it. I understand if it's like how you grew up. That's why like I tend to not say anything because I feel like sometimes when people chew really loud, like my parents chew really loud, but that's just because that's how they grew up. So I don't really say anything, just because out of respect. But if it's like I see what they're chewing, sometimes I'm just like, oh, can you like close your mouth just a little bit? Like, I don't want to see what you're chewing. But it really bothers me at like raves and stuff when people are just smacking on their gum. You know what I mean? And I'm just
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
hear it over the music, and I'm just like, oh my god. I'm like, I hear you from like a mile away, my guy. Like,
Hmm.
please. But yeah, that would be my biggest pet peeve.
Greatest fear.
Uh, Being alone.
Hmm.
Yeah, it used to be a failure, but then I kind of just accepted Like if I don't fail, I'm not gonna learn, so it's okay. I'm not gonna expect to fail, but if I fail, it's okay. But my biggest fear would be like being alone.
Yeah.
Just because I don't like the idea of being alone. I like the idea of like having a lot of people around me or having like a support like system.
Mm-hmm.
And just being alone just like freaks me out because I think like I tend to self-destruct a little bit and I'm alone.
Yeah.
So that'd be like my biggest fear. If I was like being alone would be like physically, like if nobody like is like with me, like that's just like really scary. Yeah.
Favorite food?
Sushi. I love
Sushi.
sushi. I can eat sushi for days, but it'd be expensive, so I can't have it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I have to settle for like poke or something. But even then, poke is like really expensive.
Go to ice cream flavor.
Road. Do you know what that is?
Like Rocky Road or what?
Yeah, like Rocky Road, but without the nuts. So just road.
Oh,
So just chocolate and marshmallows.
okay. Road.
I don't know. People are always like, what? And I'm just like, chocolate and marshmallows. I just don't like the nuts. I'm sorry.
A quote that you really like or live by.
mm, it is what it is because it really is. Things happen for a reason. And I feel like if you mess up or if you fail, like it is what it is. You take it and you move on with life. But yeah, it is what it is. That always runs through my head whenever I like mess up on something.
Mm-hmm.
I like take a break and I'm just like, you know what? It is what it is.
Okay, as I asked my last few questions, at this point, chat, if you guys have any questions you want to ask Jess, just tag me with your question. Okay. So, what would you consider as your greatest accomplishment in life so far and your greatest failure or regret?
I think my greatest accomplishment has been moving out just because I did it at a really young age and moving out like I said like isn't easy. And I feel like now that I've kind of got the hang of like moving out and I'm just now needing to focus on like a job or like being financially stable, it's definitely been a big accomplishment of mine. My worst or like my worst failure, I would say, um, hmm, biggest failure. That's
Mm-hmm.
hard. That's a lot. I would say probably not keeping up financially after quarantine, just because with EDD, I did get like a lot of money, and I feel like I spent a lot on just like really weird stuff. Like I think I spent it on like food, like a lot of food. And
Mm-hmm.
then I think like that I would take that as like a failure because I was financially stable and then I fell into like spending like so much money because I had it and I didn't like think about saving anything. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would definitely say like that's like my biggest failure is falling into not being financially stable.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
From Shinji, can I get more food?
Of course, if you bring your little brother, yes, you can get more food. If you don't, I'll just give you like a fry, just one fry. Your little brother comes, you can have the whole store.
All right, would you rather be too hot or too cold?
I would rather be. Oh, my friends always ask this question. I'd rather be too cold. I don't know if I'm gonna regret saying that. I mean, it might change in the future, but I think right now I'd rather be too cold because I could always like put like blankets on myself. But if I'm too hot, it's like even if I take off all my clothes and I'm too hot, like I'm just irritated.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just gonna be like sweaty. I don't like being sweaty.
So, how did it feel when you started streaming? First started streaming?
It was really scary at first, just because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But now, it feels great. Like it feels amazing. I love it a lot. It's definitely like one of the highlights of my day. Like when I sit down to stream, it's like okay. Like if I'm like mentally there to stream, it's like okay, I'm
Yeah.
I'm here. So yeah.
Who are 3 streamers you would love to meet / interact with personally?
Valkyrie, Saikuno, and Shazam. Justin's gonna hate me for saying Shazam, but yeah, Shazam.
Okay,
Yeah, I
okay.
know. I should probably. I could pick tens, but I'm gonna pick Shazam just because Shazam seems very cool.
Mhm. From Shinji, dragons or goblins?
Dragons? Who picks? You know what? I'm not gonna say that second one because I've been tricked one too many times.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Are you going to the 626 night market on May 26th?
May 26th. Oh, I was like, it's not today, but it's April.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, why not, right? I didn't even know it was happening on 26th. Well, yeah, I'll go.
All right, and what's your best pickup line?
Best pickup line?
Mhm.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, okay. Best pickup line. Yeah,
You're preparing for it. All right.
yeah, yeah. Fuck. I don't want to like mess it up. Okay, let me play it in my head. Hold on, let me play
Okay.
it in my head.
Okay.
Okay, okay. Okay. Are you Brim? Because I would love to open up those thighs.
That's crazy. You went with that one. Okay.
I shall love to Brim.
Sheesh. All right. All right. The Valorant related one. Nice. Nice.
Of course.
If you could switch lives with anyone for a day, who would it be?
Mm, probably Valkyrie.
Mm,
Because I would love to see how she works. Just so like when I switch back to my body, I'm just like, okay, I could do that. Like get some inspiration from like her work ethic. You know, she's like a businesswoman. You know, she streams, she's amazing. So yeah, I would love to switch lives with Valkyrie.
mhm. If you can have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
I would love to have dinner with mm, probably Jeffrey Bezos, so I can ask him to give me some money. No, I'm just kidding. I'd probably have dinner with him just because I would love to again like ask him like about any advice or anything. I feel like that's always like a good conversation starter like over dinner. So I would love to ask him like how he is as like a businessman or like any advice that he would give or anything like that.
Mhm. Alrighty, so let me finish with my last few questions. Alright, so what was your first impression of me?
My first impression, you?
Yeah.
I was like, man, this guy cool. No, I was literally like, this guy is really cool. And I think like when I first like saw you or like met you, it was still in the beginning when I was streaming. So I was like still trying to find like people to talk to and still trying to find people to like connect with. And
Mhm.
then when I first like talked to you like on stream, I was like, wow, this guy's like really cool. And it was really hard for some reason, like it was really hard for me to find streamers that were like connecting with their chat. And then I saw you and I was like, oh, like he's really like good. And then when I met you in person, I was like, oh, he's just like how he is like on stream. He's like very genuine, very cool, very chill, you know, very laid back. So yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Of
I actually don't
course.
remember how we met.
I
Like,
think
if it
we
was through a
met
mutual or anything.
I think it's through a mutual. Is either through a mutual or I rated you.
Okay.
I rated too many people, so I don't remember who like
Yeah,
I rated
yeah.
first. But
Small
I'm
world,
pretty sure
though.
we met through like a mutual. And then I rated you.
Alright, as of now, who are 5 streamers that you find yourself watching the most?
5 streamers I watched the most my boy Shazam. You know, Shazam, if you're watching. I'm just kidding. He has a girlfriend. I cannot. And I have a boyfriend. I cannot. But I watch Shazam a lot just because he's like the only Valorant streamer that I watch that has like really like a stream that I could listen to. Like I watch Hiko, but I think I like Shazam a little bit more just because um he does like he does like funny stuff, so I like that. I watch what else do I watch a lot after Shazam? It's gonna sound really nerdy. They're not even a streamer. They just broadcast. But the Valorant like Twitch, that would probably be like my second most watched Twitch like streamer because of the VCT and
Yeah.
everything.
Oh, you keep up? Okay.
I keep yeah, I yep. I really wish Zeta won, but it's okay. I guess Optic is cool too. But what else? I would say I watch Toki a lot. Like Toki B. I love
Yeah,
Toki B. She's
Toki.
so cute. Yeah, she's so adorable. I love her. Um, let's see who else. I watch Map a lot. Like Mian, I watch him a
Me
lot.
and Panda.
His
Yes.
his karaoke, beautiful, top notch. Love it. I love how he sings whenever I read him. um, and then who else did I watch? I watch so many people, but I would say like those are the channels that I usually click on the most when I see streaming. But I usually check out everybody that's on like my following list. Yeah, it may be Shazam though. I'm always on Shazam's stream. It's kind of like he's always in the background for me.
All right, and it comes down to the last question for me. So, with your connection, who would you like to see as a future guest on this podcast and why?
I would love to see. I feel like we like know the same people.
That's okay.
I would love to see either Chill.
Oh, he was on the first one.
Dang it! Can he come back? I would love to see Chill, just because I think he's like super cool. And then I would love to see. I'm trying to think of any girls I would love to see on this stream. Hold on. Let me look at my. Oh, I would love to see Mar. Like Mar Pits.
Yeah, she was also on the podcast
What
earlier
the heck?
on.
Did I miss all of them? I'm so sorry.
They were long ago, that's why.
Dang it. I'm so sorry. I feel like. Hold on. Let me look at my list. Let's see. Oh. I would love to see. You know Freylease?
Oh. Yeah, I met her a few times.
Yeah, I would love to see her on this stream.
Okay.
I think she'd be really cool. She's cracked at Val. You need to have her talk about Val. She's cracked.
Definitely played against her in the tournament. Yeah, she's cracked.
She's so good. She's so good. Or Plasify would be really cool on this stream too, because he's a part of like different orgs and everything.
Oh yes, really cool. I had him. He's amazing.
Oh, what the heck? Did I miss all of these?
It's okay.
These podcasts?
No, I don't expect people to watch like all these podcasts. They're like hours long. But it's okay. Frey, got you.
I think Frey would be super cool.
All right, now that we've finished the podcast, what are your thoughts? Like, how were you feeling before versus now?
So I was nervous. I feel like I'm always nervous for everything, but I was really nervous because I was just like, oh man, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be like able to talk about stuff or anything, but it was really cool. I didn't really like prepare too much. I was kind of like, you know what, I'm just gonna go into it and just start talking. It's okay, yeah, just wing it. And then yeah, so it was really cool. I really like that you have these podcasts. It's super like podcasts are just great. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, thank you for being on it.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Of course. So what are you planning to do after?
I'm probably gonna get some food. My laundry has been sitting downstairs for a couple hours. It's just a thing that I do. I don't know why. I'm really lazy with my laundry. And then I'm probably gonna try to play Val. Let's see if I can get up to gold 3 at least.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Unless it's down already, then that sucks.
Alrighty, so I will close this out for the YouTube portion, and then after that, I'll just let you go, okay?
Okay, cool.
Alright, that's a wrap, folks, for the Chang Gang podcast episode 68 featuring Jess. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the time that you committed to this and for opening up to all of us about your life experiences. Do you have any last few words for the audience here and for those who will be watching on YouTube?
I just want to say thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. You know, like it's always great to see all the support and everything. And thank you for having this amazing podcast. I think it's super cool that you
Of
give
course.
opportunity for like different communities to like get to know their streamer, you know, because I definitely wouldn't have been able to like talk about this on my stream because I'm always, you know, eyes glued to the screen for Valorant. So I really appreciate you having this and I appreciate everyone for coming out. It was really cool. It was really fun.
Yes, absolutely. Super fun, enjoyable. Thank you, thank you. Guys, thanks for being here and for watching. We do have 2 commands. The important one is definitely exclamation guest. It is a direct link to Jess's Twitch channel. She is a fellow streamer who is on the grind, plays Valorant, just chatting. Drop her a follow, guys. That would mean a lot. Get to know her too. If you haven't like learned anything else from here, you know, there's a lot. There's a lot to everyone, so that's why I appreciate having guests on this podcast. But yeah, that's a wrap. This video will be on YouTube within the next few days. Stay tuned for the next one. We have already completed episode 68. Pretty crazy. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, guys, and hit that subscribe button. I welcome you all to the Chang Gang with open arms. Much appreciated. Have a wonderful night. All right,
Cool, thanks for
peace.
having me. Bye.